Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Holy Day, Moors and Muslims all across DMX. Welcome and thank you for coming out and tuning in to House of Reawakening Minds as we strive to be a holistic center for spiritual grounding, free thought, self-discovery, and Moorish science, an awakening experience for all ages. Please note that the views, opinions, and services expressed or offered by guest lecturers are those of the lecturers and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of House of Reawakening Minds. This evening we have Father Hannibal Bey. Please receive him. Thank you.
Thank you. I got so much here to do to catch up. I'm just going to touch on a slight recap, but it's a lot that I've been wanting to get into. I'm going to read in detail what I'm going to go in today. Can everyone hear me? It's clear. Yes. They can hear me, like, you know. Kind of low. Yeah. All right. The recap. If we all know, before I go any further, everyone always knows that I always give respect to the elders. I say that we're juggernauts. A lot of people say giants, but I say juggernauts. Juggernauts are gods that were so monolithic, they were powerful, they crushed anything that was in their path. That's an old Eastern legend there. So before I open with our chapter that we always have as our little ceremony at the Moorish Order Round Table that my father had founded in Camden, New Jersey. It was an old tradition of reading chapter 25 out of the Circle 7 Quran in the Moorish Science Temple of America. But before I do that, I want to give tribute because I've always mentioned individuals. I've always mentioned individuals who influenced me or who I've learned from. And a lot of individuals who are coming through need to hear this. Again, I'm going to recap from what I talked about last time, and I'm going to break down the chapter a little bit because I just read it through, which was the Infinite Wisdom, which was the source of the Circle 7 Quran. Because I want to start making that available. A lot of hidden stuff that was not available to you more, and make sure you get it. My moment of my tribute of the Juggernaut Moors, and those who got me coming back out. And I always make the statement that to those imps and minions who are out here causing a lot of confusion, that I say, be careful the words you say. Stop acting like imps and minions, and to give respect to those who came before you, because there's a lot of individuals who sacrificed a lot in their lives, their livelihood, their family, and a lot of stuff that you're getting. And I'm the only one who will chide you, so I'm going to say it. A lot of you new Moors, y'all was spoiled, because a lot of the literature and the high knowledge of science and history, jurisprudence that you got is from the research, decades of research that my father, myself, and other elder Moors had, that we took and made sacrifice, and Daddy was able to finally get a lot of it printed up, and we still got a whole lot more stuff that need to be printed up. But now you're able to have that information at your fingertips, and a lot of you are coming out here being baby Bible babblers, and what they say, parroting Quran quotas, and swearing you more this and that, and what have you. But the sad thing is, you can tell you imps and you non-sincere ones that you won't even grasp the creed. But one part of being a wise man and wise woman is to always give respect to the teachers and those who came before you. So I'm going to give you a list, and I'm going to try to make this my tradition whenever I open up to name some of these people. A lot of them have passed, and some are still here in the flesh. And I give great respect, and I say a healing to them. And I love them very deeply. First, for starters, the forerunner of the Moorish movement that a lot of people don't talk about. And that is Musa Marcus Garvey, that great sage. I don't know if he was a Bey or Eel, but he have his nationality card, and of course he didn't obey what the prophet told him to do, and everybody knows the story, he got deported back to his home country. But he was the one who warned everyone that there was going to be a man who was going to come from the east, that I was not even worthy to strap up his bootstraps or his lace of his shoes, something to that effect he had said. And he was talking about our beloved prophet, my distant cousin, my tribe, prophet, noble, Timothy Drew Ali, who was known as Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. And his great students that I call sages, the grand sheiks that had done a lot of work to keep the movement going on. Because you had a lot of individuals who were part of the Most High Temple America, they walked away and did a lot of different things. And some would just say sell up, but I'm going to talk about the ones I give respect to. We had the Caliph, Charles Mosley Bey, Sage James Johnson Bey. Blessings be upon them. James Johnson Bey, I got to meet him personally back in '93. And he had passed. And I really regret not getting back to him. I was able to press his hand, and I'm blessed to have a picture with him. Sage Dumastel, I got to meet him. These brothers were direct students to Charles Mosley Bey, and you already know he's the Caliph. He was the one who wrote your Morse Zodiac Constitution and the Clocks of Destiny. And for what I understand, Charles Mosley Bey was the code Circle 7, because you said the prophet used to open the meetings and say, Circle 7, where are you? Finally, this young teenager that walked in the door, that was a member of the temple, stood up, and the rest is history. And you've always heard me mention that there were individuals who took this knowledge. It was a part of the Moorish Order, the Moorish Science Temple of America's Adab Chamber, and they were under the direct Adab Chamber of the Prophet Noble Ali. And I already mentioned those individuals, and there was 5 of them, and all 4 out of the 5 became millionaires off the knowledge that Ali had taught them. Only one who didn't do it, but he continued to fight the right fight and to free his people, and that was Caliph Charles Mosley Bey. As I said, Dumastel, I got to stand and talk to him, meet him tonight. God rest his soul, the Creator rest his soul. The same with Sage Darrell Thomas Bey. Him and I, we were good friends. We used to talk on the phone a lot. I have to throw in here, and I didn't put the person's name in here. The Empress Gosen I knew her personally. Her and I used to talk on the phone. Some of you may be familiar with her, with the Washington Moors. But she had done some things, and some things was a little bit off, but nonetheless she done some things, and it kind of helped the movement a bit in the 90s. The next person is His Eminence Tariq El, and he was the Sultan. He was the last Sultan in the Great Seal Association of Moorish. I never got to meet him, but he was definitely a juggernaut. You had His Grace Yusuf Rami Bey. He was the first Emir, and we got to sit and talk to him. He was a beautiful brother. He was always a handsome brother with his long locks and his beautiful purple turban. Very quiet, but very heavy. I'd like to also give respect to Assistant Grand Sheikh Elijah El, and he was located in Camden, New Jersey, under the temple that when we came in 1990, and I will mention this person, her, later in the list. The Assistant Grand Sheikh Elijah El, he walked with the original prophet, and he used to talk to me and my sister and I when we were young teens back in '80. And Daddy used to drop us off at the Sunday school, and he used to tell us stories and things. This is after the temple meeting. Very beautiful brother. I wish a lot of you could have met him. The other sage was a person that made his own organization, but he still had done a lot for the Asiatics, and I still give great respect to him. This is Sage, the Lamb, Grand Sheikh Robert J. Elijah Muhammad Pool Bay. He had done a lot for our movement. He definitely did what the prophet had told him to do, to keep Islam on the serves the people. The next, now we're going into the feminine energy here. This woman you've heard me mention, the living widow at the Kia Bay from Germantown, Philadelphia. She had her own radio station, WPEB 88.1 FM in Philadelphia. We got to meet her over 20-something years ago, even close to 30 years ago. She used to let us sit in her living room and she would teach us. She's a great giant. She was a great drug line. She's still alive. And the person right after her brain name is Sayed Raha, Rashida Bey from Philly. I just spoke to her. Her soul return was yesterday. So if any of you know her personally, please give her a call. Or if you see her, give her a hug and give her blessings. She is the last living co-founder of the Great Association of Martial Affairs. Now, here it is the most important matriarchal female woman that is in my life. And I've mentioned some, and I'm glad you sisters, beautiful Dr. Naila L, that beautiful cherub, that possible. She did her due diligence and got her here. And I tell you stories about this woman, most powerful matriarch and mother. The one who told me first about my nationality and race as a young teen. And she also aided in rearing me in my early teens, along with my father. And that is Her Highness, Doria Bey, my stepmother. She was our person who helped walk us in the Morse Temple. And of course, I like to give blessings to an elder who had passed, and you hear me mention him a lot, Clifford Hazel Hill. He was a 33rd and a 96th degree. He took me all the way through and coordinated me in 33rd. And also the lieutenant, Solomon Grand Commander, Donnie Johnson, who's also 33rd. And I like to also start rounding this out to Sage Hakeem Bey. I finally got reconnected with him. You know him from his New Atlantis work. That is my brother. I love my man. Finally got reconnected. Didn't know he's all the way out there in Arizona. Give respect. I'm telling y'all, give respect. There's people that did a lot of work. And also to my cousin, I spoke to him a little earlier, Grand Chief Charles Chucky Bey. He's from Camden. He's down in Atlanta, Georgia. And the last but not least, the person that we all are very much, I don't want to say affected, but we were given light. We were given water. He's definitely living the life of his astrological sign as the water bearer, the Aquarian, his grace, my father, Manshik Tashri Katib Bey. These are the individuals I give respect to. Those who not in flesh and those who still in flesh. And I just want this to be on record for those who are talking a lot of mess. Tell me to fall back, for real. Fall back and give respect and know, like I had said, stop looking down upon these new brothers and sisters because you got this knowledge, this heavy knowledge. You only got it because we had made the sacrifice to put this out there. And you're looking down on these people, but guess what? Look down directly at your feet and know that you're standing on the shoulders of juggernauts and giants that came before you, and I am one of them. You give respect. A lot of you have no honor. You need to cut it, because I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to say it once. The negativity that you're doing now, you're going to be on the wrong side of history. Now, let me open up. There's a lot I got to get to, and I'm going to stick to the literature because we're going to recap. Of course, I'm going into those who are the naysayers and negative individuals, and I touched on the infinite wisdom, and I went into a chapter that was about the wise and the ignorant. I read that. I'm going to touch on that again, just a bit. But what I have scheduled here, and I'm going to stick to this, because there'll be a lot of reading directly from the Holy Prophet, so y'all can take a lot of notes. And as time go on, we're trying to make it so y'all can be able to get these holy scriptures and other stuff and hidden research and work that we have. So I also am thankful that a lot of you have demanded and asked and made certain things happen to have me come out public to give you this. Because I usually stay private and have my certain golden cycle with my number of cherub moons. All right, here's why I have on the itinerary here. Again, because I know I touched a little bit on the history of the faith creed. So I'm going to go into that, finish that a little bit up. In the back history, we'll go into the articles of faith, and when I do, I'll pick a few out and I'll read, but I'm just going to give you the summary of the articles of faith so you can generally know. And those who are well studied, you already know, your version of Islam is different from what the other Muslims say. They say Islam, but you know yours is the I period, S period, L period, A period, M period. So you already know at this junction, this time, the knowledge and stuff that I put out, my father put out, Sage Hannibal Bey, and others have put out, I'm already giving you the answer that you were known as Hittians, and the Hittians, the name of the outsiders of the faith called us either the king, if it was a man, or if it was a woman, called us the king or queen priesthood, or the royal priesthood, or you would just call us the Magi. Not even the Christians, they tried to scrub us from history, but they could not do a good job at it. And they even lied in history and tried to say that us Hittians, or we'll say Magi, were the first Christians, because they cannot leave that out of history. They show you that we were the ones who told you Prophet Emmanuel, that Jesus was coming, and we were the first to give him respect. And they got their whole faith along based on that. I'm going to go into picking up where I left off at the Holy Corvette, the first portion. And again, the key thing is when you hear me go into the Holy Corvette and I'm reading it, it's called, translated from Lemurian to English, the words of the Creator. All right, and the key message that the Creator is trying to tell you is, again, that being the beloved cherub, Tamara and cherub Elijah earlier before class, we were talking about how thoughts are things. And we were talking about how it was a big whoop-de-doo thing back about 12 years ago when The Secret came out, and we were talking how individuals had to, they were losing a lot of individuals from the Christian faith, so they had to go in the barn and go dust off some bones and stuff and take some of your more science and repackage and put a little Christian touch on it and gave y'all the so-called secret, and all they did was just give you the science of what they call law of attraction. But yet, did we not give you all the 7 laws that you was aware of? And all they're talking about is the law of polarity. You're talking about attraction, polarity. And everybody's just taking your own science and, trying to repackage and save it, and sell it to you. Anyway, the main object there is, again, I'm going to focus on letting you know that, it's all about your thoughts are powered. All right? And the key thing is, too, because I want to also try to fit in 3 demos tonight. I want to also, I'll get to that. Focus on letting you know how powerful your thoughts are. And if one person can focus on things, you can change things, but if you can get a group of individuals to focus on one thing, one thought, one thing, it's kind of be like the magnifying glass, and you put the glass up to the sun, the magnet, you tune it just right, and you make that light just sharpen up before you know it. You be shining on paper, you make the paper catch on. Well, the same thing you can do when you have a fellowship of brothers and sisters come together and you're focusing on this knowledge. All right. What I'm going to do is make sure I want to open the third eye up. I'm going to definitely do that. It's going to be one of my demos. Those who want to have that, because my key thing is I want to have you have that gift to awaken. All right. So you can be able to see, because there's a lot of things that's going to be going on, and a lot of you are being aware of certain things. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go into the hidden history of Atlantis and hidden history of Lemurian. And I'm going to touch on 2 things that I had talked about. And this was after hours the last time time we had a session. Some of those who were here can attest to that. I went into the 9 cuts. I talked about when I'm meditating, I use certain hand positions to focus on certain abilities, so I will touch on that. All right, let me get into this because I have a lot of reading and really get into some things. Let's open this up. Chapter 25, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Father always said to read this because, again, a lot of Moors need to hear this to remind them, because we have a lot of individuals who are really not brother. I think the new saying that people are saying is that everybody is your skin folk, ain't your kin folk, something to that effect. And I am very much seeing that, and it's sad. But this is a reminder to you. Chapter 25, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. You are the children of one father, for by his care and the breast of one mother has given you son. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, and in peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relations that bind you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of the whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Now, remember when I said I had read the infinite wisdom, and a lot of individuals who were so-called detractors were going at Brother Prophet Jurali, and I remember this as a little boy in the early 80s, and I've mentioned this book many a times, and we're going to get around to it, make sure you get a copy. When Dwight York wrote a book, Who Was Noble Jurali, he actually wrote the book in 80, and then when I got it when I got out of service 30 years ago. One of the brothers was literally downtown in Canada. This is when they were Ansar Muslims, and they were known as Nubians, and they were selling the incense in the books and stuff in literature. And I got this book called Who Was Noble Jurali. And one of his detractions that he was saying about the prophet that kind of ticked me off. Anyone who does research is aware of the other 18 years teachings of Jesus isn't lost. So don't believe any of these other religious groups that try to tell you whether they're Christian or Muslim or whatever and say, oh, it's law. No, the bull is. No. It's called the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus. All right? And they say by Levi. And even Levi give you in the preamble how, if some of you are already at this stage of this learning, you should be aware of the Akashic records. Now you're talking about the ethereal mind energy, where you pull the records of all history. So in the preamble, that's kind of mentioned how that information was pulled. And then so when you're reading that, and then you're reading your Circle 7 Quran, the only difference you'll see, where they'll say, where Jesus is quoting or saying something, and it says the Creator, will say God in the Quran Gospel. And the chapters that will be from that are in here, in Circle 7, you'll just see Allah. So that'd be the only difference. But again, it goes into detail of his journey. Of course, you know in the Most High's Temple, you get the Circle 7 Quran. And then when you are a member and you get exceptions to Adab Chamber, for what I understand, then you would then get the other chapter piece here, which is the Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East. But nonetheless, going back to what I'm saying, they would say, oh, he plagiarized this work. Prophet Jurali did not plagiarize the work. Prophet Jurali has said that he said the Muslims in the East have released the keys. All right, and then he basically also said to the effect that he took what was needed. So now, when I showed you the source, and eventually you are going to get this. This is a book called The Infinite Wisdom. I was blessed to get this copy from an elder in the early 90s. And he was able to let me copy. The only thing short is like a couple pages that, like it will say about good 4 to 5 pages, just didn't get copied. But nonetheless, it's particularly the whole book. It's called The Infinite Wisdom, and it's translated into Chinese by Dr. Cao So, Prime Minister of China, from ancient manuscripts found in the Grand Temple of Tibet, believed to have been written 600 years before the birth of Emmanuel. All right. So anyway, this is the book that was the source, if you will, Holy Scriptures. And then once you finally get this in your hand, I'm only going to pull pieces as time go on. I have the whole Beth and others to give to you, but I've already read a chapter which was called The Wise and the Ignorant. As you would thumb through the book and you would read it, you'll see the chapters that I told you. Probably said they used some keys, and probably said I took what was needed to help you lift out of this condition. All right? So this is proof positive. He took what you needed and what he, observed, because anybody knows the history, they know that he observed our conditions a while before he set up the temple, so he knew what to do, yada yada. All right, and then also too, never forget, the prophet did say that the truth had the whole. He said the whole truth hadn't been told. He said, if I tell you everything, you will go back to sleep. He said there's even more truth. We can go beyond these doors. So he was never a person that confined you to know one book. Whenever you get a leader that confined you to one book, this is one book of all you gotta read this, that's it. Know that you're in for a game. Know that. Because I always say this to my loved ones. I'm like, all right, if you're gonna be a Christian, be the best at it. Even the elders used to say, darn, if you're gonna be a hoe, you're gonna be a pimp, be the best at it. I don't want to be vulgar with it, but you know what I mean? So I'm like, so if you want to do this, know this. Like, know that the person that's behind this pulpit, if I was a Christian leader and I'm giving service, whatever, like me, I let y'all use the informal title, but my actual title is patriarch. But I use the informal father, so it's patriarch. But anyway, you know that there's a school system that the priests had to go through. And what you don't know, but you can easily spot this, they not only read the Bible, but when they do their research, they're pulling other holy scriptures. So by the time they finish their seminary studies and they get behind the pulpit, they get up here, this is the reason why they can tell you stuff from the Bible and know it, and then all of a sudden those who are really studious notice that the preacher is really good, whether it's a man or woman, and they start telling you other stuff that is really intriguing, and you notice it ain't in here. But you ain't going to question it because you know he or her had further studies. You understand what I'm saying? So I say, again, I would tell those brothers, all right, you're going to be a Christian, whatever, even a Muslim, whatever, be the best at it. Go and study. What you're dealing with, like Clifford used to say, that's foo-foo. You're dealing with little kiddie stuff. When you get into them higher ranks and degrees, they know you got to go past the regular tone. You get sacred stuff. You get sacred stuff that will shake you up and you wouldn't even believe. Y'all be quick to say, well, that's satanic stuff. Remember now, when you start to deal with divine, you start dealing with rituals and things, and they'll start doing certain things you call supernatural. And a lot of people can't handle it. But I digress. So, I'm going to touch a little bit on the recap. Remember, my main thing is I'm going after those ignorant individuals who's coming after my father, or Dr. Naila, or myself, or Hakeem Bey, or Sage Severe, anybody that was really doing good work, and y'all saying, oh, we trying to preserve this for profit on this, and I kept saying, and I've been saying it from the mid-90s. Where were y'all when we needed y'all to speak up for those who was there going swirling the movement? This is the main message in this chapter that I have written. The wise and the ignorant. The gift of understanding are the treasures of God. And he appointed to everyone his portion. And I'm going to stop right there because remember I had read this. I'm going to rewind any other sermon thing, but I'm going to go into it. What that means is Understanding is a great treasure from the Creator. You may say Allah. Creator says, my name is Arabian. And your other ancient ancestors, before you called the Creator Allah, called the Creator Ahura Mazda. Alright? I'm going to point out another point in this chapter. I'll be glad when we finally get to the point that all of you are having to follow this together, but follow it. The wise man doubteth often and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things, but his own ignorance. And remember when I said this, and I'm directing this to all you negative imp and minion who claim to be conscious more. There's an old saying that the wise man can play the fool, but the fool can never play the wise man. And for those of you who remember, I had mentioned, because I've always know when you're, me being a hypnotist also, I know you think in pictures. So remember, sometimes I always mention movies. So it's good to go peep an old 1975 to 74 movie or whatever, Michael Caine and Sean Connery, and I said this is a Masonic-laced movie. It's called The Man Who Would Be King. And in that movie, it will show you your old Moorish customs when a Moor was traveling. One of the old, what they call the gift or gifting or grifter type of game thing to pay their way across the desert or cities or whatever. One guy played the fool, and one man played the interpreter. So you'll see that in that movie. But the good thing is I want you to peep it because it's Masonically laced to the movie. It's a good movie. Good movie. But remember that. A wise man can play the fool. But the fool can never play the wise man. Because why? A wise man can always speak on what they know. And I'm going to make this unisex because it's the main thing in our Hittian faith. And we try to change this frequency. So I'm going to say a wise man or wise woman know. And they speak on what they know. And what they don't know, they know to keep their mouth. And they listen. And they do what you wise women and men are doing now. You take notes. And then they do their research. And they'll find out if it's true or not. And guess what they can do? Because they did their research. They knew not to be a fool, speak on something they knew not of, and to debate the person you don't know nothing about, as opposed to that when you do debate, is because you went and did your research and you came back, now you know. Well, what would a fool do? As it said here in the scriptures. You know, the fool is obstinate and doubt not, and he knoweth all things and is his own ignorance. Another sign of a ignorant fool, they get puffed up and they go after your individuals who are your giants in your community. And as I'm telling you, because others won't tell you, anyone who claims to be Moors and they're attacking my father, trust, they are students of ours. Whether direct or indirect. And I can start naming names. And I said to one of them, but I'll say it off camera. Or off, what's the name? Him and I went through the Masonic ritual. We were tied together. Going after my father. I even show pictures of them wearing t-shirts with the Moor seal on at one arm Masonic meeting. I mean, so the earmark of a fool is, like I said, they know everything, but don't. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is foolish. It's foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence and to pity their absurdity. Yet be not puffed up in thine own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. Matter of fact, let me start right here. That's another earmark. That was one thing, that was another reason why I fell back. For those who was wondering, I've heard heard of you. I haven't seen you in a while. Those who go back, and then some of you new ones you don't know, and you're like, where you been? I fell back because I got tired of going to different places and meeting with all Morse commingle, and then you get mainly the males. And someone will be talking and dropping wisdom, and then all of a sudden you start getting a shouting match. Instead of talking to, they start talking at. And then it becomes a one-upsman. Proof of that, I can direct you to any one video, blog talk interview, especially the one with Daddy and Severe brought me out back in 2011. And it was a whole lot of us on the same interview, and I told the person later they wanted me back on. I said, you put me on, it's going to be big. I can't have all these people because no thoughts come over clear. There's some individuals that had to have some ideas or certain information had to be said, and the others were cutting off because they wanted what one-ups and do a one-ups. That was the main complaint. Matter of fact, that was the real reason, that was the complaint and the reason why they wanted me back on the second time. Because some people from all over that heard the interview was complaining that as soon as I was trying to get in the thought, they cut me off. And people was like, man, I want to hear what you're going to say. And I said, all right. And now I can say this because a lot of people didn't know this when, it was only behind the scenes. During that interview, if you heard the closing out, you noticed when they said, all right, so such and such say your salutations, they probably asked my name, and I hung up. I hung up 15 minutes before the day was over. I was like, I ain't set up here going, So anyway, that was one thing that kind of ticked me off. I've seen a lot of individuals, you just have an assembly of Moors, after the initial Islam, Salam Alaikum, Hotep, Vedamaikum, and within 5 minutes, and all of a sudden they start talking a legal situation, and after they talk about that, then everybody's, they're not talking over you, nah, because you gotta do this, and you gotta do this, nah, brother, and it's like, I'm like, and then the worst of it is, if you all are part of the same movement and you're reading the same book, there should be no conflict. So, I want to stick on this so much because it's a lot I want to get into, but I'm going to make sure we try to work towards getting the infinite wisdom into your hands. So y'all can read it, those who are sincere. All right? Now, as I have mentioned, there will be 3 demos I want to do. One of the demo, like I said, if those who are open to it, I want to open your third eye. I want to give you all the key so you can see. Some of you will, once I do that, it's just a blessing in your third eye. You may even be more developed than I can only kind of see like the kind of color around an individual. My main thing was focuses on trying to read individuals. So I'm giving you all these sciences and things that I can, as y'all have me come out. The other demo that I'm going to do is definitely a cipher. Those who are familiar with the cipher, I know it'll be boring, so we'll probably do it off camp. Yeah. Now, a lot of you have heard me go through the history, and I went through the creed a little bit, and I have never got to finish up. So there's so much to cover. What I'm going to do here is go through.
Can you speak in the mic, please?
Yeah. I'm going to go through testing. Somewhat of the history, the founding of the history. You've heard me say some of it, so I'm going to recap some of it, and I'm going to breeze over it again because you need to understand this more, so you can understand. Remember, whenever there's a faith, there's always a prophet or prophetess, and there's a founding of that faith, right? As I had said in one of the sessions, I told you about the prophet Absaris. I think I should write his name here so you can see. And he was Lemurian. He was born around. Born around 3099 BC. We say before confusion, we don't say before Christ, but when we don't call prophet and man of Christ, that's a curse word equal to you being called black. So we don't use that word. Again, Osiris was a Lemurian. And remember, I've already explained to you the reason why you're Moors is because of your pedigree. You were Lemurians before the Great Experiment. And we are already aware of the Great Experiment and who carried it out, and that was the great scientist, Lemurian scientist, Yakub Hukashus Cushitis. All right. Now, in Osiris' time, he was known as a high priest, as we say, and a prophet and healer during his time. And about time he founded the faith, if you will. Here's the part of the history you need to hear so you can understand. He was at the age of 96 years old, and this was during the time frame of 3003. Osiris was not completely satisfied with his religion at the time, and he was 96 years old. He went up into the mountains to meditate on matters, and he stayed in the mountains away from people, fasting and meditating for 6 months. So everybody talk about Jesus fasting for the day, 6 months. One night during a terrible storm and rain and lightning, the clouds suddenly went away, and all became very still, and suddenly a bright light appeared near him, and the spirit form appeared beside Osiris. Osiris was badly shaken, and he had never witnessed this thing. All right, here's the key. The spirit which materialized into a form of a beautiful woman suddenly began to speak to Osiris and told him not to be afraid, and that she had been sent by the Creator to tell him the truth of all things. She said her name was Alicia, and it's spelled B-E-L-E-A-S-A, and that she was a divine spirit who lived in the abode of the Creator, and that Osiris had been chosen to lead the people of Earth out of the path of darkness. She told Osiris the Creator was called, and remember I had mentioned to you earlier, Aurelia. Our ancestors had called the Creator many different names, and what you'll find later on in Holy Corbett that one of our ancestors had asked, hey, all right, well, we call you such and such different names. So what is your name? And the Creator said, well, you being human, you always need everything explained. All right. So my name is Aurelia, and all it means is the thought. It's no different than what you learn in the Civil Science of America when Prophet Raleigh gave you the name you called your ancestors last called the Creator Allah. What? The thought. And another thing, the Creator also said that it is aware that you call the Creator with different names, and guess what? Big God said it's all good. Alright? So I'm saying that so you can understand when Prophet Raleigh gave you on your nationality card, you learn in the Moorish Science Temple of America, when he says you give honor and respect to all different prophets, then that means you shouldn't be able to get in or argue with everybody else. And you being conscious Moors, you will know that there is a how can I say a element of truth in all the faiths and they're built around it. And as I give this to you, and you have more of the Hittian faith, when you see the Magi faith, and you see these teachings I give you, you'll see where other faiths had took this and made other different religions. So this is why you Moors, and why Ali gave you the so-called version of Islam, and it's different from what they call an Orthodox. He took you back to the element, the real deal. Because remember also, I gave you in your studies, I told you to look up the prophet Zarathustra. Remember I told you that. And anybody who studies so-called Islamic history, when they talk about Zarathustra and the faith, they will say pre-Islam. And when I go into giving you this, I'm the only one that's telling you, Zarathustra was a member of our faith. And as I wrote again, I wrote this many times on the board, I took it down. It's 3 levels in our priesthood. The low priesthood, it's called low priesthood of man. And then when one is diligent and they learn the higher science, then they're initiated to the high priesthood, and it's called the high priesthood of heaven. And then when they get to the level where I'm at, the grand priesthood of the Creator. Zarathustra was in the priesthood that I am, on the level that I am. He was a grand priest in our faith. And he was just 2 ranks below me. He was a mystic. That's the first ranking of a grand priest. And he actually was the keeper of our sacred object in our faith. And once he, I guess you can say, got to a certain level of his gospel, he wanted to take this knowledge and this faith back to his people. And as I was trying to say last time in the sermon, that if you study and read up on the Zoroastrian faith, you'll find out they will not let no one convert into the faith. They're almost saying that the faith is dying out because you can only be in it if you're born in the faith. All right? That's their way of trying to not have other people come into their faith. They won't let you convert. And remember, I had mentioned to you too that the Jews, the people that call themselves Jews, are us Hittians, but they're the watered down version of it. And if you're this far, you came here, you should have already read it. What is it? Just the Clock of Destiny, and be familiar with C.M. Bey's work, where he revealed in the research that when you fell, all nations took your science and made different faiths. I just told you that earlier, which they did with their holy faith. And those who were the Hittians, who was a part of our tribe, that were the pale-skinned ones, who renamed themselves Jews and the Jewish faith, and there you have it. All right. And they, in a way, kind of try to work towards making it that they didn't want people to convert into the faith, but they'll let people convert. All right. But mainly, we are the source. All right. Getting back, the Creator's name meant the thought, as it was in all one great thought that created everything. That already created everything perfect, and that man sees fit to make everything imperfect. Remember that as we go on in our teachings. Anything that is imperfect in creation, the Creator did not have anything to do with it. I'm going to say this, and we'll go into it another time. So when you're talking about Satan and the devil and all that, the Creator ain't had nothing to do with that. Man created that. You're going to find out as we keep building. You are the fallen gods. And when you were falling from your principality, you created things. And there was a group of us that were called the Satanists. So this is before Europeans. So we can't blame everything on European. They would call themselves the Satanists. And they were a negative group of priests of us Lemurians. And they created the dark shadow spirits, and they gave them principality and power. And as I have mentioned to you before, and we'll eventually get to the book, the other side, what is about the other side by Homac Cole, who's the Ascended Master. He's the only immortal who actually wrote what it is to be like an immortal. And the first thing he did say of many things, that when you're talking about demons and devils and all that, he said outside of this dimension they do not exist. Because when you become an Ascended Master, you get to travel to other dimensions and other planets and every other thing. And he's done that. And he said that, you created them. So these devils and all, you created them. And there's only going to be us to be able to defeat them. And one thing that us Magi, we knew, we don't believe in them. And that's the first step in them not having power. Because you already know your ancestors, the negative ancestors of us that created. All right, and their shadows. All right, and so that's the main part of their powers not affecting you. All right, so that's one thing that we understood. But I just want to say that, and we'll talk about that another time. All right, I want to speed up a little bit. Belicia is giving him more lessons, and you'll find out Belicia is actually a twin spirit, divine spirit, and has a sister named Bella. All right, let me finish up here. Belicia told him that in the beginning was the thought, and that the thought dreamed all that there is, and it became as the thought was the creator. The thought created God from that which is thought, and nothing was created apart from itself. For all that there was, or ever hoped to be, was of itself. She told him that the Creator wanted to keep no secrets from mankind. Did you hear that? The Creator didn't want to keep any secrets from you. So whenever you hear people and they say, oh, there's something beyond that no man should understand, you're going to find a problem when you're uncovering your history. That a lot of the problem came from, I guess you can say, Michael, the priesthood. Father revealed that. Even other elder Moors revealed that it was the priesthoods that always caused the confusion to try to control the people, control the masses. All right, so that was the other part of your fault. See, when you talk about our history, you're talking about a can of worms. And some of you remember when I touched on the subject, because I get pissed off hearing individuals saying to the effect of, yeah, we heard of the Moors. Yeah, the Moors. Yeah, I'm talking about that sorry behind and stuff. Yeah, they traded to the race. I said, well, look, we need to shut that down. Because when when you get these people giving you black history, they're selling you a pie in the sky. And it's bull crap. When they give you black history. Because what do they keep talking about? Now even the Europeans are clowning. Yeah, we know when we were Kangs, and we're Klangs, and we're Quangs. Because that's all they talk about. But Moors, we're realists. We know the true history and why we fell into this condition. It's a can of worms. Yes, we have an illustrious history. So when you run into any of these people out here talking about, yeah, you know y'all traders in the race, you dumb clucks. Know this. The ones who are regurgitating that, they're not researchers. They're not historians. They're not saying nothing different than what Ivan Van Sertima, Chancellor Williams, or anybody else has said in their books. Do you follow me? Because when you're reading our Moorish history, you're going to also bring up the bad. So I say this to this. You shut those individuals down and you tell them this. The bad part of our history here, we had a lot of sellouts. And since we're dealing with more science, we also know about DNA and its code and its memory. For all I know, since you had the goal to roll that off your lips, you're probably one of the descendants of the bastards who sold us out. So get away from me. Because it was plenty of time that others could have said this way before you even knew anything about Moors. Am I right or wrong? Because then you would have came across that knowledge and it would have then gave you a decision whether you wanted to touch the Moorish nationality information or not. But I'm telling you the real deal. When you grab these books, you will see these elders have wrote about the bad part of you Moors. So that's never hidden. So stop speaking as if the Moors were somebody else. Be a realist. Own up to it. See, because like I said, when they're giving you these black history, they're not taking responsibility. Because they're the same ones who tell me, yeah, we were kings, we was all this and what have you, whatever. You're giving a lie. Take responsibility. Because they the same ones who want to sit up here and feed you the lie that you were kings and all, but then you were innocent. You got knocked up in the head, and that's why you was thrown into slavery, because you were innocent. You ain't do hell no. You was thrown into slavery because you created another man and you disobeyed God's law. You enslaved another man. It's even here in the Holy Corvette. I will get to it. You are the poster child of what happens when you disobey God. That's why you had to pay this debt. You threw the European. See that beautiful sister over there? My children's, even my grandmother was light as those sisters over there. Y'all see how deep my father is. My grandmother was light as the sister of Morgan. We come in different shades. But if we was to go back in time, we all, most likely not excepting the brother, would be treated. The Lemurian, our ancestors called us pre-fourth human. And the Lemurian, the Moors of her shade, of my grandmother and my children's mother and my grandmother, they would get the worst of it. But yet you know she's Moorish. This is your part of your history you need to understand. You understand what I'm saying? We enslaved our home. We had to pay. We're the poster child of what happens when you disobey God. I will find it, but I'm going to quote it. The Lord said in the Holy Corvette, do not enslave a human. If you do, I will destroy your nation. And it's a comma. It didn't have a period. And it's saying, I will scatter you to the winds. Now do you understand why you went through slavery? Heck, the Europeans, the reason why they were so efficient at it, because they learned it from you. You started the slave trade. They were just more efficient of it. You need to hear the horrors of what you did to put them in check. You thought slave master was bad, the stuff that we see in the movies? Guess what you Moors did to them when you wanted to put your pale skin children of Israel? Yeah, because the other word, Israelite, the children of Israel, was the other code name for Moor. But this is what you did. You would dig a hole and bury him up to the neck. And you would take pit bulls and maul their face off and make sure everyone else looked. That's you. Our ancestors did that. There's another movie you can kind of see the little cruelty. It was kind of funny though, because Sidney Poitier, he played him more, but it was funny because he had one of them daggone Billy Williams, Jerry Curl. Long Ships is the movie. Long Ships. He looked sharp though, but it was just kind of funny to see him in the Moorish clothes, and he come up in there looking like one of the cats from the group Switch. And you're going to ride the sailor. And the scene was, they had Christian Europeans, and they were going to punish them. So he said, you're going to ride the saber, because you're going to tell me this golden bell is. And the saber was a long saber-shaped sword. You know how you go to theme parks? Well, it was kind of like that, but it had a slide. But the saber sword was in the middle. It was about time, went all the way down. Your body was cut in half. So that's why I want you to see the movie. Kind of fictional, but it kind of gives you an idea how cruel you Moors were. So I want you to notice so that when you talk to these individuals and they come with that cut, you cut them out. Because another thing I tell y'all too, that's COINTELPRO. I always keep telling you, agent provocateurs, they get paid between $500, $5,000. It's lucrative business. I just spoke with the elder, Sayed Raha, earlier, Rashida Bey, and she was telling me because we were talking about how the negativity of we seeing Asiatics who claim to be Moors talking negative about other Moors. She said, I ain't never seen nothing like this. I told her, I said, I stepped away a good 15 years or so from the so-called mainstream. I come back, I'm looking at all these people attacking Daddy. and checking in. I'm like, what the heck? I said, at least 20-something years ago, we knew who our enemies were. They were pale skinned. And they were usually the Smith, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the only time you seen one of yours, you already knew it was a Moor. It was melanated, but you knew the game. That was their attack dog. And all you had to do was just do like the prophet said. You talk in an intelligent tone. The European be like, okay, child boy, sit down. Come on over here. Like you got some sense. Mr. Bey, Brother Bey, and this thing you get what you want. That's why also I'm taking time. I'm trying to give y'all so-called the Masonic talk or the Eastern Star talk, because that's y'all. But like I told y'all, I'm giving to you because the Freemasonry is actually an imitation of my priesthood, or really is yours. The Magi, so I'm giving you that so you know how to communicate, because it's also part of your creed. So when they see, because when they see you with them turbans and feathers, when they see a bad ill, I told many a stories. I don't mean to go off, but I want to make my point. I told y'all the story of a Moor who had a whole lot of traffic tickets, and he said that it was a European on a bench, and he seen the Betty name. No, he had an ill. He said, Magistrate sat there and dismissed his cases. He dismissed all the tickets. And then the brother was like, oh, shoot. Because he said all he left him was just paying the court costs, which was only about a good 30, 20 something, whatever dollars. Like, shoot. And he said when he went out to go to the counter to play at the clerk, that magistrate jumped off that bench, went to the back way, came to another door and said, Islam. I seen the baby names. I just want to say Islam. Yeah. I don't want to say the brother's name, because you probably watching it. Brother, I'm going to leave your name, so I'm going to just say Brother Abdullah. No, I'll just use my name. Brother Hannibal Bey II, Ila Ali Bey. I can't keep because they're stopping our brothers and sisters from connecting to their estate. And y'all being here and knowing this knowledge, you know what I'm saying. They don't know. Because they keep, these are the same people talking about they want reparations and what have you. And they don't understand. This government can't give it to Negro, Black, and Colored. They can't. But they know one time when the time comes, they have to, and it's more. It's like I already told y'all. I tell y'all the story, and I keep repeating. I'm going to repeat it all. But I told y'all that the reason why I got into Freemasonry, because 20 years ago, the Europeans was ready to sit down and talk and give us land and money. And this was the higher ranking of the Scottish Rite. And they just said, we see what you Moors doing, we're ready to do this. Just keep waking them up, keep doing whatever. Curtail this, and then also you're going to need to awaken your ability to see people coming. This is why I'm very private, but also I will communicate with those, and I'm trying to give you some of the metaphysical sciences so you can develop your third eye. I'm going to do this tonight, and other trainings so you can be able to see people, because even though I had all this knowledge, I was getting burned by people, and I said, you know what, I can't blame nobody else but myself. And so I went back over my lessons. Remember, I told you, I'm not only a Magi, high-rank Magi, I'm also a high-rank Freemasonry. I'm also a member of the Great White Brotherhood. And so I have all these lessons. So I said, I have to use this training. And so I was focusing. I said, I want to see them coming. And I'm able to read people. And even people that are negative, guess what I do? I still treat them decent. You can turn the air on if y'all need to. I'll just talk a little loud because we ain't gonna sit up here and roast. But I treat them decent, but I just know not to spend time with them, because then there's someone else that may need my time. And one good thing that I can say, that there are brothers and sisters that this is why I say y'all thank me, but I thank y'all, because I said I'm appreciative that you are all listening and you want this knowledge. And even though I did hear from those students of mine who have access to me. So, anyway, let me keep going on. I'm going to skim through this to give you a little background history. Like I said, all right. Here is what the angel is saying regarding the realm of where the Creator lives and what it's called. I've heard me say this before, but now you're going to hear it again. The Creator was saying, my abode is called Aka. Some may say Aka or Aka, meaning AKA, which means the place of the Creator. And that there are 3 levels in my abode, is what the Creator is saying. The first is for the saints. Those that have given their lives in spreading my message to others, theirs is the throne for which I sit, which is my house. On this level, their power will be unlimited. They will think thoughts, and thoughts shall become things, and they will create without end, and their power shall be without end. And remember when I explained to you about saints real quick? I told you everybody's put up with the Halloween. Really, it's called Hallows Eve. And then I said, really, the holy day. It's funny to hear people say it's a holiday, and it's not. That you see the structure in the height of the order. That's the apex, that's the holy day. But that's also the day that you give respect to the saints. Alright? And again, as you just heard, that's the first level that the Creator has said the saint is for the saints. So when you see those from the voodoo, or even in the Christian faith or others, and they petition to angels or saints, the reason why you petition to them, they're kind of like the governors in heaven or a car. So they're the ones who help you when you petition. You really need, but hey, Saint Marian or Saint such and such, such and such. And then you still give respect to the Creator. You have a day set aside to give great honor and respect to. It's All Saints Day, November 1st. All right. We'll get back to this, describing the heaven. The second level is for those that have served me well, but have fallen many times by the wayside. Theirs is the outer garden, where they will live in bliss for all eternity, but shall not create along with me. The third level is for those that live by the things for which I teach them, but who fall from grace before the presence of my saints. This is the outer kingdom, a place which I call Summerland. Now again, like I said, I don't take it for granted because I know a lot of you come from different schools of learning. And that may sound familiar to you. Some may come from the background of what they call Wiccan, what have you. And they will mention Summerland. There's a movie, God rest his soul, he's a funny European comedian, he committed suicide, Robin Williams. It was a movie he did, I can't think of the title right now. Say it again.
What dreams may come.
What dreams may come. Thank you. That was my favorite movie. I went to the theaters to see that, and I had copied it on one of the old heads, so VHS, and somebody took it. I haven't seen it since, but it was funny because that movie came out a little bit after I had converted and got into the faith. And what I wanted to say was that movie was slightly accurate in a way of what happens when you go to the other side. So if you can peek that movie, you heard us say that what dreams may come. When you see the beginning when they pass over, that's called Summerland. And it is described that it's most likely kind of like Earth and things, you see trees and whatever, and what have you. And some people say, and it's the higher lessons here in core ethic will say that some stay longer, some stay for a short time. Alright? So, I just want to say that, Summerland, so that might seem familiar. So again, it says, this the outer kingdom is a place which I call Summerland. This is a waiting place before rebirth, but for those which will remain in Summerland for all eternity according to their works. There are also those that shall remain here for many eons of time before returning to the flesh and be once again among mankind. I'm going to skip further here. I want to give a little piece of history where the prophet had gave us our name. Meaning our creed name, Prophet Ascension. Alright, it says from here, Ascension banned travelers even further north. So a lot of things that happened, and he traveled around the world. I want you to know that our Hittian faith, we travel all around the world. Remember, so when you're getting history, you're getting it from the Europeans' point of view, when they try to talk about the so-called native Moors history here, but you notice the holy man's name, Shaman, is familiar. You go to Tibet somewhere and that name is used. Remember, they make you think that we were so far apart we never communed with each other, we never knew. Remember, that's the Europeans, is the newest species in this planet. So he's the one that's rediscovering everything. Just know that from that perspective, you can never get twisted. So now you understand, us Hittians, we travel all around the world. Now at this time, that I'm speeding up here, Apsaris had traveled around with our followers, and what had happened was we didn't have a name. So, as they traveled further north, coming to a present-day Turkey, at that time, in ancient time, Turkey was called Hatti, H-A-T-T-I. Right? These are some of the names that, I'll give you some of the ancient names. So, they were in the area of Turkey. And while Cyrus was there, he went up into the mountains alone. And there, the Creator, Aurelia, again spoke to him. For the first time, called the followers Hittians. Right? And remember I told you the word Hittian, that was your name of your creed. So before you were Muslims, you were Hittians. And it only meant was enlightened people.
Islam.
God. Yes.
Now, were the Lemurians the first set of humankind, then the Hittians, or vice versa?
Say that you were the first nation.
Never mind, I'm getting feedback. I can step back. Were the Lemurians the first set of humankind, then the Hittians, or vice versa?
Alright, Hittian is the name you creed.
Okay.
Right? Lemurian, that's your bloodline.
Gotcha.
Right? Again, that was who you were when you came to this planet. I think I might touch on that. To rehash real quick, for those out there, when you came here, our homeland, matter of fact, I'm going to touch on that too, because I'm going to not only go into some of the Atlantan history I've been trying to get to, I'm going to get to today, that's what I'm going to stick on, and I'm going to get into some of the Lemurian history. I'm going to give you, which I touched on one time before, the actual planets that the Creator had gave in order. There's 9 of them that had human life on. Alright? And you'll find out before we settled on this planet, we were on our home planet, Aden. But then you had existed on another planet way before that. So a lot of you are the Star Trekking people, and you kind of see how when they go to different planets, there's a different history, maybe a little different timetable, and it also broadens your mind for history that some people could be primitive, some people on another planet, galaxies, advanced. I really strongly felt that these individuals got a hold of your work, and those individuals in Hollywood said, let's package this up and sell it to people. Like I told you before, like the elders said, truth is stranger than fiction. Alright. So, but yeah, again, that's your we say your purebred bloodline, Lemurian, that's who we were. And when the great experiment happened, of course, like I told you, the great Lemurian scientist, Yaku, crossbred our DNA with the Negro Jabero Rabo, which was the chimpanzee, which created the children of Israel, which is us, which is the bouquet of this experiment. That's why we Moors become in different shades of complexion. But nonetheless, us melanated, your bloodline, you tied to Lemurians. That's what I tell the Moors. And there was only one other Asiatic that said this. And other than that, it was a European. His name was Frank Joseph. So maybe somebody ought to look him up too and research. 20-something years ago, I got a video. I got to get with the brother, see if he can copy that and put it in. Y'all get it. That Frank Joseph did a lecture on Lemuria. He was actually a reporter. Matter of fact, my cousin Abdullah Bey, the brother over here, he was actually talking to him 20 years ago in '98. And he was actually just doing a report, but then he kept coming across our history, and he decided to do Lemurian history. And it's funny too, because when y'all finally get the video, and I get that in your hands, you'll see that he actually said, he had actually Moors in there. You can see a Moor with a fez that's sitting in the audience. He said, I don't like to call you black people black. He said, I'd rather call you Moors. So he actually literally came out of his mouth and said, the reason why you're Moors is because you're descendants of these Lemurians. Of course, he went back to the black thing, but that's not his job. So again, when you're talking to elders, someone will say Moabite, and that's the further they can understand. But I'm the only one that actually lets you know, all right, look, boom. This is who you are. You were Lemurians before that. You were Lemurians, then you became that Moabite to Moorish nation, but that came out of the experiment. And then also remember I told you there was another nation that was with us, the Amalgian nation. And on our home planet, the Amalgians was considered the father nation to us Lemurians. Alright? And again, I know that a lot of you come from different schools of thought. So, and I've always given respect, as I mentioned in our talk earlier, that I said Grand Sheikh Robert J. Poole, Elijah Muhammad, Poole, he always said, when you get those Nation of Islam teachers, he always said that, he was saying in his kind soft voice, he said, Asiatic black man has no birth records. That's how old you are. You don't have no birth record. The European do. You don't. So, as I was saying, Epsarus was in the area of Turkey, and the very ancient name for Turkey was Hatti. Get into the articles of faith, because I want to really focus on that, because again, a lot of stuff that you hear me go into, I always tell you, a lot of problems that individuals have is because they do not follow the creed. And when you see individuals who come into the faith, the whole cipher of the Moorish faith, those who are well studied and studious will recognize that there's a problem when you see individuals who are not in line with the teachings. Like I had said before, some years ago, it was kind of weird to see a Moor who was part of on the Great Seal level, if you will, but yet he was eating pork. And that's no exaggeration. Dude was, he was tearing it up. And Like I said, the faith, in the Muslim faith, people say, oh, poor thing. Some people that zealous. They're like, you don't touch the cream because it's unworthy. You get some people that's zealous. So I make it simple for you. I tell you, this is the real reason why you don't eat the pig. You already know at this time, we already talked about Yakub, the great Lemurian scientist. So DNA splicing is nothing new. If you created another man, you didn't think you couldn't create other beings, other living entities? You created the pig. That's why you don't eat it. Yeah. And there's other animals. And some animals you preserve from other planets. I'd have to dig in the Holy Corvette. You call it the platypus, but in the Holy Corvette we have the original name. And plus, what you may call, what's the damn shaggy behind bear that runs here in the United States? Bigfoot. Yeah. We call it the gumps, and we saved them from another planet and some of the ancestors stuff. Alright. So, the pig, the reason why you don't eat it is because, from what I understand, and one of my other great great Moors in history, hero was in Hotep. It was in Hotep who created the thing. And he took it and he sliced the DNA of a cat, rat, and dog. And the purpose that you had it was because you created your children, the Albion race, and you gave them the island of Balan, and they already know, so I'm not saying anything insulting about them. They're happy about their cavemen listening. They'll even tell you they're beginning to go back to the cave. And they just weren't burying their dead. And the stench was coming over to Morocco or Mauritania and Africa and our brothers like, oh, hell's sitting up. And so, in Hotep was like, alright, let me go ahead and do what I gotta do. And use the science and took cat, rat, and dog. And your first generation, now those who may be familiar with farming or horses, talk to individuals, they know the basics of what they call domesticating certain things. So that's their little watered down version of, I don't want to say tainting or changing the DNA. Like you say, thoroughbred horses or thoroughbred dogs or whatever. Alright, so we got that idea. So when you obviously know when they first made the daggone pig, remember I told you cat, rat, and dog. So look up the history of the razorback or the wild boar. And if any of y'all go camping, make sure you take a 45 with you. We do have some more wild boars and stuff that run around, and if you see them, you better run and try to get away, try to climb up. I'm sure they will run fast. They're down here like a giant rat. That's what I've been seeing, their tusks and everything. Alright? And so what the Europeans did, because they knew not to mess with anything kosher, they'll eat something or halal. They had no problem eating a pig. That's why the pig is a delicacy to them. There was plenty of them, because once we created them, we released them in Europe. Because they weren't burying their dead. They wherever they died. Remember, they fornicated wherever they wanted. Babies don't know what that means. The horizontal Mongo, anywhere they wanted. And the dead died, they just leave them there. And so, anybody knows when you're dealing with trash and all, what the rats do. They bring rats and all. And the rats can eat all kinds of stuff. And, anybody had any pigs, know that pigs can eat anything. I've actually witnessed it myself. A pig will sit there and eat antifreeze. I seen one pig eat antifreeze and bolts, and I said, Daddy, we was at this guy's garage, and he had a pig. And I said, he's eating antifreeze, your pig gonna die. He's like, oh, no, I ain't gonna die. And Dad said, no, he good. Because he said the way you made the pig was, in between their hoofs, they call it the anuses. Yes, that's what they call it. And it pushes out pus. So a lot of the slop that you see, the mud stuff, that ain't all, that's their pus, that's their mucus stuff. Even though they got to put some water in it. Because they can't sweat. So it pushes out all poison, that's why they can eat poison and stuff. And The living widow, I think, told us in her class too. When we used to go to her class, she said, if you go to butchers and people that eat pig, talk to them about a pig's foot. And they said if you see it before they get to it, people that eat pig meat, they really would not want to eat it because it's that horrible. They said they have to cut it out. Because basically it's the part of their body that pushes out all the poison. So pig will.
It's like the digestive system.
Yeah, it just pushes it in, and it's all mucousy and what have you, and so that's what all that is. So, but anyway, the Europeans knew how to get domesticated and they eat it. But that's the main reason why you don't eat the pig. You created it to eat the dead and all kind of stuff, and also because you did spiritual work. Remember, you did exercising spirits. Possessing, you also do spirits in that. Case in point, the story, Jesus casting spirits into the pig. Alright, so that's the main reason why you don't eat it. It's a really unclean animal. Now you do got some people that will eat rat and snake. I'll never forget the woman that she wasn't my grandma, but I thought she was my grandma on my mom's side of the family. And I was 8 years old, I'll never forget, 76, 8 years old. And I looked up in the freezer, I was small like a baby, so I was looking up and I seen this thing that's looking like this in the corner of the freezer. And it was a rat. And I was like, and she said, oh, that's muskrat, baby. And one day she fixed it. So I was like, hey, guys, children, I was like that little children right there, little chair right there. And I was like, hey, grandma, what's going on? Hey, what you eating? And she's like, oh, baby, I'm eating muskrat here. Take some. And I just went, and she just hit my cheek. And I was like, I was 8 years old. I went, I still never forget that. She was, yeah, baby, just take it. She just ate it. Big chunk, and my teeth. I was like, I think we was going at it for a good 10, 15 seconds, and that's a long time. And I was like, and I'm like, So, but you got people that eat it. So, but anyway, I just want to clear that. All right, let me get articles of faith. Now, in articles of faith, we actually got 31. So I'm just going to give you the title of, just to give you summation of what's about. I'm not going to read in detail all of them. These are things I've been wanting to go through and go in detail and really give you all. And then, like I said earlier, for those who came in a little late, I'm going to touch real quick what I said I was going to cover. Basically, it continues some of the history of the beginning that I talked about before. Articles of faith, I'm going to do here. And we're going to pick up on the Holy Corvette, and we're going to do a focus. Definitely going to do that because I want to open y'all your third eye. All those who want to do that this evening, so I'm going to do like 2 to 3 demos. I'm going to also go into not only a hidden Atlantan and Lemurian history, because I know I'm supposed to do that, but I'm going to be reading. That's why I'm focusing on just reading what I'm supposed to get to y'all, so y'all can hear this, because y'all need this. And I'm going to also, because I talked about this, some stuff we talked about off camera. A lot of y'all had left. Some of you were here. If you remember, I went into the pyramid thing. I actually made some pyramids I had said I was going to make. So some of y'all can just pay. I cheated. I wrapped it around my pyramid. Then you see I know how to make them. And I was explaining. I'll go into that when I talk about it. Anyway, I'm going to also read a piece of the Holy Corvette, that's the Solomon Uzek piece that goes into the knowledge that I mentioned to y'all a few sermons ago about the power of the pyramids, so you will understand some more detail on that. So those are some things I'm going to do. And what I was going to go into, because the sister asked, I am going to go into the actual 9 different planets, because you asked a little earlier about, first humans and all that. We got to go past what the Europeans fed you. This is a more higher piece of the Holy Corvette, but I'm going to go into the 9 planets. I went to it before, but I'm going to read a little bit more to that. These are just some, and I know once I do that, I'm going to round out, and then we're going to go into the demos. Like I said, the demo that I'm going to do to open your third eye,
So what's the
Was the Bible, the biblical text, translated from the Quebec?
The Bible, it's funny you said that. The Bible does have some of the stories.
Right.
As time will go on, you will see, and some things will be, you'll see that were different. I will point that out as we go through the Holy Book. But just the first part of it is heavy, but I'm going to go into more heavier stuff. So maybe you're starting to get the first part. The first part is the chapters 1 to 13. But I'm going to go to stuff that's beyond that. You will also see that there were so-called stories you get from the Quran that we have. And you'll see where they got it from. Like the story of the stone, the actual most important stone is in Islam, where everybody takes the Quran. So let me keep on schedule here. Our articles of faith, the first article is basically dealing with positive action and thought. It states this to the Hittian or the Magi, that belief in positive action, positive thought. Remember I told you those who have done research, you're already aware, and some of you have come back, and I love the fact that I asked and y'all give me feedback. And I told you keep the so-called creed of the Zoroastrian faith, and they have the 3 elements in their faith, perfect. They have positive thought, positive action, positive words, and you already being aware of this, you know where they got their elements from, right? But that's the main key lesson in our articles of faith. Remember, in every faith there is an articles of faith. There's
we have a question on the floor.
Yeah, peace, brother. The Hittians you're referring to, is that in association with Hittites? Hittites?
Great that you said that. That's why I read the piece where I mentioned that where the prophet was, because he traveled all around the world, and even though that was just skating over it a little bit, but the more detail in the Holy Quebec, when he finally went up in the mountain and talked to the Creator, he said, I got all these followers, Lord, what should we call ourselves? And the Creator was like, well, since you're in the land of the Hittites, we call you Hittians. Okay, remember I said, remember I just gave you the ancient name of what we call Turkey now. During the time when the Tsars was still alive, they were called Hatti at that time. That's what that landmass was called. And then those Hittite.
And one other thing, the Lemuria is at the same land of Mu that was hit by the cataclysmic earthquakes. Is that the same land that you're talking about that was sunken? Lemuria.
Mu and Lemuria are 2 different land masses. I gotta get a map, and I hate to keep drawing and taking stuff out, but we'll go under our mind right now. You know how this was the Americas. What you see over in Hawaii, which we know now is our territory, that's the last remnants of Lemuria. Right? Lemuria was in the Pacific Ocean. Now Mu was off the west coast of Africa. Right? So Mu was in what we call the Atlantic Ocean, but in ancient times we called it the Harua Ocean. At that time, Atlantis also existed too, which was off the little coast of here, where we actually grew up in this area. She had to be New Jersey, I'm from New Jersey, in the Delaware area. It was off the coast there. The reason why you named it Atlantic Ocean is in honor of them because it sunk. I talk about it. I'm gonna just surmise it, but you'll get it in the Holy Quebec. What had happened was this. Or like you say, wow, but what this? Please see the movie Atlantis, the Lost Continent. A lot of these movies, they took our stuff and made it in the movies. But I'm going to give it to you the way it's in Holy Quebec. What happened was this. Atlantis was a warring nation. Right? They were Europeans coming in to play at that time, but so you're talking, they were called the Jora. So they were a mixture of us Lemurians and Amalians. And they left this landmass, what we call this Amalia land. That was before you then people called it the Mexican and then now America. And they settled in an area which is a landmass of islands and what have you. Kayak, written by a chronicler of ancient times. He was an Amogi, his name was Dora. The Kayak meant the Chronicles of Earth. He gave the stats of nations that are long forgotten. Atlantis, we touched on this before, so I'm just going to briefly go on. Atlantis was a warring nation, and they had a clump of islands, if you will. And like I said, they were a warring nation. Now go past what the Europeans had brought you. We had high technology, all right? And they were messing with atomic energy, or they were actually making atomic bombs. And they were doing underground testing. They had an arsenal of atomic arsenal bombs. And they were arrogant, and they figured their 1 mile barrier wall from their testing to their stored stuff was safe. Well, the calculations were off. And they tested one bomb too much, made a crack, set off the other bombs, and it said in the Holy Corvette it took about a good 4 hours or so for the whole stuff to finish. When it all blew up and it just, for all the waters to settle and everything. And what happened around the world, this is where you get in the Bible, the Noah, Ark, and all the flooding. That's where the flooding came from. So you got the Easter Islands, which original name is Rapa Nui, and you got the Hawaiian. All of them are pieces of Lemuria. They were just obviously the higher pieces of Lemuria that existed that still, that was above water. I have an old magazine I gotta find, but there's some old rare stuff, and this is photographers that was doing stuff off the coast of Japan. I'm talking 20 years ago. I can't remember the magazine's name, but I gotta make copies of it. Make sure I get out there. You know how they have some people have magazines and they bring stuff out. It's important, but they fold because they didn't get this thing, but still it has relevant. Well, they have beautiful shots of them going underwater, finding old cities and roads and stuff that was old Lemurian, and the United States wasn't going to let that stuff come here. But your cousins, some may tell you, but remember, they play a part of the white game too. But yeah, you actually looking at statues and stuff just like, yo, it's been under the water for, right. Same thing off the coast, like they said, they found some pieces of Atlantis, you know what I mean? So, but that was a great question you asked, you know what I mean? But we'll get into that. That's what I'll touch on some of it, and I'm going to go back and forth on it, but I want to keep moving forward because the last time I had scheduled, I cranked it, I want to keep on over time. All right. So Article 1 deals with positive action and positive thought. That's the key thing. That's the main thing in our faith. All right. The main thing I keep trying to convey to y'all, and I thank y'all who are open-minded when I say that I want you to. I want to put y'all like in a synchronistic, not a hypnotic state, but a synchronistic state, and we all get into a cipher. I appreciate y'all that because when we come together and focus on fellowship, and we focus on one thing, my thing is this: I'm taking y'all to the lodge. I mean, the real lodge. It's not so much just trying to do one thing. I'm also trying to make it so I want it to open your abilities. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not being selfish like other individuals. Yeah, let's do this one thing. We want to get money. But Jesus wants me to have that new plane. Or I got to have that new Shih Tzu dog for my daughter. And I need my new shoes. Jesus slippers version. You know the Pope pays at least about $600 or $800 for a pair of shoes they make for their stuff. I'm saying, anyway, all I'm saying is I want to take you the way your ancestors did. Put it like this. Me and Brother Elijah was talking earlier, and I said, this is you keep looking at the pyramid seal as your nation's seal. This is your seal of your nation. Now I'm going to take it home for you. And I'm going to get back to what I'm saying. I was telling the brother the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus, consisted by Levi. That's the other 18 years teaching of Jesus. And it goes into when he went to Egypt, India, and Greece. But I want to focus on Egypt. As I told the brother, I said, that's important. And the more science stuff, what I understood, part of the antechamber ceremony is the chapter that you, and this is my favorite chapter out of it anyway, is when he went to Egypt to become a part of the member of the Smiling Brotherhood. That was another name of Ascension, if you didn't know, Asmanda. And the rabbi, the Grand Hierophant has said, Rabboni, you with all this great knowledge, he said so many words, that why are you come here? You have all this great knowledge and what have you. You know, you have the wisdom of the masters. And he basically said, I come to walk the path that all other men shall walk in all schools, right? And once they talked or whatever, they said, all right, so now they're going to take him through the beginning of the test. And there's 7 tests that he goes through. And before he did, they washed and cleaned him, gave him a robe and everything. Guess what symbol they gave him? And it is described in the chapter. Let's say it a little louder.
The circle 7.
The circle 7.
I wasn't putting it on you. I mean, somebody else could grab the mic. Yeah, circle 7. All right, so in the Aquarian Gospel, circle 7, and guess what it says? It's called the what? Logos. Oh, a little side note, because remember I'm dealing with you in the mind. You don't think words, you think pictures. Go back to the movie The Second Matrix. What was Niobe's ship called? P.A.O.
Logos.
Right. So now, Logos means man-God or God-man. And anybody, this is why I say, again, I thank you, Morris, for listening to the lessons my father gave me and listening to when I just give you the simple lessons. I said, you can't be in this movement and you ain't a part of More Science Temple America. And what did a lot of you did? You started going to the temple and you became members. Because again, you can't be a part of something you don't know. There's one thing I loved about the Malcolm X movie. That scene when Denzel Washington played Malcolm and he was sitting in the cafe and the guy came in and said, you know what? I ain't never seen no man. I ain't never seen no black man had all that power. I want to join it. It is now. He said, brother, you just don't join no movement. And you don't know nothing about it. So don't be a part of the More Science Temple movement and not know about the founder. But I'm only saying that to say this. But when you become a part of the More Science Temple America and you get high up in the knowledge, you don't become a regular Moor anymore. You then get initiated into the outer chamber. And guess what is given to you as a charm? Now, what I'm trying to bring it home to you, you were a nation, and this is the best that I can describe to you. This is how far you fell, so you can get an idea of what I'm saying. You were a nation of Jesus. This is this. Can you follow me? Put it like this. You know the power Jesus had, right? Alright, so I'm saying you are like a power, you are like a nation of individual Jesus. Like, you follow me now what I'm saying? All of you had the power of Jesus. So, now you understand? So when you pull out that dollar bill and you see your seal, and I told you how you handle your money. And I told you it was no Jolly who helped, who was responsible for putting that seal on the money. Everybody else tell you all great black men in history. Yeah. Who's man with peanuts? Yeah. And they tell you about the old man about this and that, what have it. They never sit there and tell you anything about Jolly and what he had done. Well, Jolly made sure he got both seals on that money. Like I always tell you, you see it, hold it, put your finger on the eye, turn upside down and tell me what seal you should see.
Circle 7.
So you were a nation of God, men and women. Yeah, hold that dollar up. Hold that dollar up. Put your finger on it, put your finger on the eye. I'll turn it upside down. See? Now you have eyes to see. Sister, now you done got eyes to see. See, the hail. Yes. Yes, Lord. She can see. She can see. Praise Jesus. Praise Muhammad. Praise Buddha. Oh my God. He put that in the movie. And now you have eyes to see. That's how you communicate it too. But that's going to be one of the things I want to give you too. How you Hittian Wars, you left signs all over the place. And those who seen it that were members, you knew what it was. And like I told you, Freemasonry copied off of you. So now, I'm glad y'all got your dollar bills out. Remember I told you just how you handle it, how you handle your money. You always make sure, I know some things I'm revisiting, but I want to do this because a lot of people haven't heard this. Hold your money again. So whenever you're handling your money, your paper money, all of the dollar, the greenbacks are on the back side. The only one that is the dead president to show is Abraham Lincoln Ill. He was a Moor. Don't let nobody play no games with you. I just told you my grandma. I got a picture of my grandma, and we got another beautiful Moor over here. Light olive, but you know she's Moor. That's what Lincoln was. That's why they don't want to tell you his history. Now, when you serving that money to another Moor, you hand them your pyramid side. So, you doing a transaction, or I'm doing a transaction with you, I'm handing it to you because you're a Moor. If I'm a European and you deal with me, you hand it to me his seal. You understand what I'm saying? Everything you do is with the sciences, with the energy behind it. I talked about this before, but I know for the sake of the new ones here and what have you. This is why those who see you Moors, they shake it in their boots. Because when you're awake, you do things beyond just physical. It's spiritual. Hey, real quick, y'all ain't give me my picture. Y'all, we got some words to talk about afterwards. Anyway, yeah, y'all gotta see the pictures too. I know you got it on the phone, so I want you to show people, and if we can show online, maybe y'all can tell that testimony like, hi. We were North American, we went to the Atlantan, and we sat in some. So maybe y'all can see that, but I want y'all to see it. Anyway, everything that you do is spiritual. This is why everybody's trying to imitate you. And this is why also I try to give you the meta, what you call hypnosis. I don't want to keep believing in other stuff I'm talking about. All right, Article 2 deals with having an open mind to receive the arcane knowledge. Article 3 is the understanding and acceptance of old hidden things. Article 4 basically deals with frees our minds, I guess you could say, from the matrix, and to know that the laws that you're dealing with, and I've said this to you before, when you awaken your mind, you notice it's kind of like the conversation that Morpheus had said to Neo when he first met him, and he said, you know that there's something wrong when you look out your window, when you turn that when you free your mind, you start bending the laws that you're so-called been following, and in some cases, you break. So generally, that's what Article 4 is. Those again, I indulge you to really science. And these are usually the articles of faith that sacred orders use. Because again, we're the matrix of it, and they just got it from us. So I'm just giving you the basic summation of it, but it's more detailed, but for the sake of time. Article 5 goes into being positive in any action, and even in your let me go into it so you can understand what I'm saying. Article 5 is do what is right, what is positive. We can do wrong, but only wrong will return to us. We must do positive things in every waking hour, every breath we breathe. And the God power will work in our favor, doing our bidding and making our fondest dreams come true. So again, even if you have talked about this, and you have individuals that may say, oh man, that's that devil stuff, man. Oh, sucky. No. You don't deal with devil stuff when you're talking about positive actions. Because anyone knows that when you're dealing with the left-hand path, their whole model is chaos. This is where the 33rd order of degree model comes from, order out of chaos. Remember, I just told you are gods. So I trust that you go and look at those so-called Greek gods, Zeus and the Norse, which is Thor and all of them, and then you start getting into the East Indian ones, think like the gods. That was you. When you were gods, you didn't need constitutions. Know that. The reason why you have constitution, do you understand this? Do you understand why you have your constitution and all this stuff? It's because you gave up certain divine rights in order to have political rights because you fell. You're not divine. You're not totally divine, meaning an immortal, a God. Because once you're a God, you don't need man laws. You're already in harmony with creation. You understand what I'm saying? This is the importance of understanding the Holy Corvette, your Circle 7, your Bible, your Quran, the Emerald Tablets, the Book of Tibet, all these sacred, the Builder Creed, because you're trying to get back to your God consciousness. Because then once you're a God, you don't need all the scriptures no more, and you don't need to follow man's laws. Why? You need the Constitution all because everyone is not on the same moral level. So a Constitution is a what? Joint agreement that all will follow this moral code of conduct. Thank you. Thank you, sister. Bless you. Thank you. So know that. So I'm trying to drop on you what other faiths are telling you, but this is what Raleigh is trying to tell you. Gods. This ain't no, you gods are trying to, give you your money. I know I'm trying to tell you gods, and I'm trying to also give y'all training stuff too. So some things we might talk, because I'm for the sake, I know this is a broadcasting, but we sometimes linger a little bit. I ain't gonna be too long, but I'll drop some other things. We give you techniques and things, yes. Oh, you need the mic. You need the microphone. Put 1, 2, 1, 2. I give you techniques, or should I say training and stuff that the sacred orders that even Jesus had got. All the prophets were a part of my priesthood, of the great white brotherhood. Yes.
Islam, when you were talking about some of those so-called mythological movies that are out with Loki and all of that. The point that you're making about the fact that we are gods, if you've seen, especially some of the more recent ones, a lot of times you find them in flesh and having lost their powers for some reason, which is indicative of us, of our situation, operating in the flesh as a mortal, not knowing that you're immortal, or beginning to have glimpses of your immortality and trying to find your way back to that place.
Right. That's why I love you. Now, let me do that, my Billy Eagle. That's why I love you, sister. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too. That was so deep, but on point. No jokes aside. Oh, you know it works every time. All right, I got something. But thank you, because that was on point. And you get, because again, for some of you that go back, you know who she is. Dr. Naleo, she's also an apostle. She had it. So I thank her for that, because that's what I'm trying to get you. I went into the star position. I will do that another time, or you just look at some of the old videos. There's other things I'm going to give you that will help you unlock your ability. Other religious organizations do not give this to you. They want you to rely on their Jesus or their Muhammad. They want you to get caught up in the prophet, the messenger, and you keep missing the message of the big God. You understand what I'm saying? And then again, did not Prophet Emmanuel, who you call Jesus, did he not say that some of you would do even greater works than I? Yep. Notice a lot of these preachers and all won't tell you that. Only very few. That beautiful sister over in that corner back there is probably one of the ones that told you. That's why her whole congregation, they don't follow them because they wasn't ready for it. But it's all good. Because I always say, what did I say earlier? What did the elders say? If you want to be something, God darn it, be the best at it. If you want to be a garden anatomical sales associate, be the best at it. If you want to be a procurer, be the best at it. That's you know what I mean? So same thing like I always said. We said you're going to be a Christian, you're going to be a Muslim, you're going to be the best at it. If you're going to be the person cutting the hedges and stuff, be the best at it. Because guess what you can say? You just have pride in what you do and you know what you know. So, me saying that is this. You can tell the difference between a person who's a novice and someone that really knows their work. So again, that is the main purpose in the Magi faith, the Lemurian faith, that we're teaching you, and it's not an ego trip. That's the main thing. I know I kind of make you laugh a little bit, but I want this to stick home. That's what I'm trying. What I'm doing to you later on, you'll find out. I'm not only giving you these scripture sermon lessons, but I'm also giving you techniques to teach. I'm making you switch from your left side of the brain to your right side of the brain. There's a science in that, and learn. All right? Because when you're dealing with analytical stuff, you're using your left side of the brain. But when I make you laugh, it makes you switch to your right side of the brain because you're using the creative side. Also, when you're dealing with anything with spirituality, you're dealing with the right side of your brain. Why the heck do you think in the school system, Reagan and all them, make sure they was taking your instruments and music out of the schools? But that was the other damn way you can tap into your right side of the brain, and you being Asiatic, you starting to wake up. I'm the generation from the hip-hop thing. They took everything away from us and left us with nothing. So we took nothing and made something out of it. Said, all right, no problem. I'm going to give mom and daddy a little record. I'm going to do something. Shook it down, and made music out of it, a whole new genre. You took my instruments from me, fine, no problem. And let me get on this mic. 1, 2, 1, 2. How do you do? It started rapping. I was one of the other cats in hip hop. I was one of the dancers, along with the DJ. But the point was, their hidden agenda was to stop you from waking up. You were turning over in your sleep, but you were waking up. Sisters was wearing their hair natural. Sisters was, hey, you know what I mean? And just as powerful as the brothers. And what did they make sure they did was come out of the 70s? They went and gave I keep telling you, you the Clark Kent, you're the Kal-El, created that white kryptonite and put us back to sleep and did the most heinous crime on the planet. Made our Moabite sisters crackheads, and they are our temples, and they was making them have babies being born, speeding for drugs, because they was putting us back to sleep. And that wasn't the only technique they were using. That's why I go into the mass hypnosis of black ops, and I'm going to keep trying to give that to you so I can operate this. Matter of fact, Brother Isaiah, one of the brothers told me, I know you're talking back there, but I want you to tell me about your experience of your hypnotic gaze the brother was telling me. So whenever you can, or maybe you put that on mic where other people hear it, because you're the only person, when I asked if anybody did the training, you're the only one who's keeping up to it. Someone had hit me up to that. But I always keep saying, I gave y'all the hypnotic training, the hypnotic gaze training, because these are part of your birthright. In a way, you know what I mean? No different than your birthright wearing your crown, your turban, and your fez, and you're taking back your holy name and your creed and your way of thinking. Also, certain abilities is your birthright. Is your birthright. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Question. Islam.
want the mic here? Want to use the mic here?
Islam. In reading the Holy Quran, have to prepare when you come. So one of the things I was highlighting was that it indicated, well, a couple of things, but Surah 67 state that enter the door of mysteries and you shall solve all mysteries. Is that so? Basically, the information that I'm sorry.
Page.
Q5.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
And on Q4, back up one, Surah 51. It says you must be born into many lifetimes to prove yourself worthy to live in my abode.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that one? Because I know, I'm not going to say I know, what I'm feeling and sensing as you talked about with the great awakening that's happening on this earth plane, and people are coming into true knowledge. And one of the things that our people really should get over is the spookism of the mysteries and get more involved into the unknown. So when I saw this, I guess it would be called a chapter, but before it was called Surah.
Yes, Surah.
Surah, okay. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, we really have to go into the mysteries to really understand what is occurring.
And here's the basic understanding of this.
67.
Yes, Surah. Let me give you the history with this too. This is a little something for you, Morris, who have the Holy Quran, and this is something you can talk to Muslims. The word Surah, I gave this before. Those who have the Holy Quran, is familiar with the Surah, the word Surah. Well, as you see, you already know the Holy Quran is older than the Quran, because I can tell you, this is the Holy Quran is the matrix of the Bible and the Quran. Now, when the Prophet of Sars, Ali was getting the words dictated to him, first by the Creator, and then the Divine Spirit, Bella, released him. Whenever the angel spoke, and I told you who he was, I told you what his lineage was. Sars was Lemurian. And the angels, whenever an angel communicates, especially scriptures, they would say truth. So, what the sister had just read, would say, so the angel was saying, all right, truth 51, you must be born into many lifetimes to prove yourself worthy to live in my abode. Now, in Lemurian, we didn't have a word for truth in Lemurian. Now, the prophet had a scribe. And prophet of Star's scribe was, get this, Atlantean. And in the Atlantean language, they had a word for truth. It was Sora. So that's an Atlantean word. So that's a little tidbit there you can get to a Muslim brother or sister. So they know now what the word Sora is. Because when you read the Holy Quran, Mecca, the main chapter is Sora and the verses. Now, we're saying you must be born for many lifetimes to prove yourself worthy to live in my abode. The Creator has said this in higher pieces in the Holy Quran. You have foolishly left your abode. The key thing is this. There's a lot of things I always keep telling you, I'm chunking to you, giving to you. I'm going to tell you straight out. The Creator said this. You are me. You are a radiant, or you are Allah, or whatever you call the Creator. Or Lord Mazda, the grand architect of the universe, like the Freemasons, these are called. Alright? But here's the key. The Creator is not you. You understand? Here's the thing. This is what makes you God, so you can understand. And this is in the first quote of the Holy Quran. That the Creator said, everything that I create is God. I am not God. Do you get that? Are you following? The Creator has said. The Creator has said that it is not God. It's the Creator. But anything that it creates, meaning, know this, all things are would you say an illusion? This is where you get people are now trying to describe and give you the matrix, the simulation thing, saying you're living in a simulation, that's the best way to describe what have you. What they're basically saying was the Holy Quran, I'm going to tell you straight out, and I'm just telling you short. The Creator said, all that I create and is existing is from my dream. You only exist because the Creator is thinking of it. So now here is where you can then dispel people in their religious beliefs. God came down in the person of such and such, and I'm not going to say my name, such. Guess what the Creator said? No. The Creator said this. If you're saying that, you're saying something that is impossible that I can't even do. Make you think, don't it? Make you go into a Arsenio Hall moment. I'm going to make it clear for you, because that's my key thing. I want to always make things, break it down, make it clear. Like my father told me, the way you teach, and I'm passing it on to y'all, beloved. When y'all get this, pass truth on to people as if you're speaking to your children. My father always said this. If you're a teacher, and your child takes the subject that you teach, but they're not taking you this semester, and your child asks you a question, are you going to sit there and follow that book and the curriculum the way the teacher is doing, or are you going to do the old cutting the fat and giving the baby to me? You tell me. No, that's your child. You're going to most likely get to the point. That's the way I'm giving it to you. Alright? So now, the Creator said, I have dreamed and I create. Matter of fact, the Creator creates just to survive. And then every time it creates and try to make what it had created, make it even better. Alright? The Creator said everything that I create that is outside of me is God. So, back to what I said to you when the Creator said that the people lie and they say, oh, the prophet came and he was God incarnate, Allah, or he was Jesus, God. It's a lie. Here's why. just told you he's the creator. Right? The creator created what? Everything. And let me go in a little more detail with some things so you can understand. And this will shut down a lot of other stuff. When people talk about, oh, the astrology, you believe in astrology? Because that stuff, that's the devil stuff. You know, I don't believe in that. I'm like, look, go ahead with that somewhere. I said that Satan doesn't have anything to do, did not create the sun, the moon, the stars, neither the planets, let alone its calculating movement in the heavens. The creator did that. The creator is in everything that exists. Do you understand? You may come from a background and talk about the energy as prana or chi, right? So now, the creator is in any and everything. Even in your 5 elements. You're familiar with the 5 elements? We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that after last sermon, after the session. Anyway, what was this?
Greater than your 5 elements.
Yeah, 5 elements. You got your fire, earth, air, water, the divine spirit that binds all of the verse of 5th. And you got your actual molecules of everything that exists. Like, you know, Brother Troy is who he is. But he's also not the floor. But yet we're all created from the same element. The creator created all things. Now some things was made from man's mind, like the cherry sitting on, but the very elements that made it comes from the base elements that the creator created. So, when the individuals are saying, oh, they came, these prophets came and they would die and pray, and you got some people that damn near want to kill others about it. It's a lie. Here's what the creator said: I am in everything. Anything and all things. What you're saying is even impossible for me to do. This is the creator, it's not me. It's the creator saying, and here's why. He's saying, it's because this. He said, say suppose I were to do what you see and come to you as a man. Guess what I would have to do? Oh, I may give you a big one. I would have to take myself from everything of all creation. By the time I get done, there will be nothing to come to, walk to, or go wherever. That means it is from the farthest stars, the farthest planets, the farthest sun, to the little smallest ant, to you, me, everything, blade of grass, everything. We have to absorb everything up. And he said, if I was to do that, for one, I would, if it was a man, it'd be nowhere to go. So that's why it's even impossible for the creator to even do that. Do you get it? I just summed it up to you, but the time go, you know, we'll get the Holy Ghost back and you get to read. So I'm just summing it up to you. So now you can just spell it. This is what you Moors did. You went and gave enlightenment to all the Moors who decided to be primitive, and then some of your children you let go wayward. You know what I mean? So your job was keep things in check. So those who have the book, The Stolen Legacy, that Percy James, anyway, there's only a priest in there that he mentions the Moors, and they called you the custodians. Remember, you weren't no yes about the keeper of these things, the dust of these. No, custodians. Go back to the Mummy movie in '99. Remember the guy, the girl messed up all the daggone stuff, and he was the main curator. And he said, oh, give me flies. Give me what's names. Let's fix up this Mashiva. He was a curator. And the curator ain't no janitor. He knows those works of the sacred book. You get what I'm saying? So now when you go back into that book, those who read it and understand it. So when you see out of that whole book, everybody keep giving all stuff to Egyptians, this and that, what have you. But he at least said the Moors were the custodians of this. One more thing. All right? And you're not just a custodian. It would be someone like my father or someone like myself or someone one of you great that really knows it, and you appreciate your initiative, you initiate, and you're preserving it. So the best I can describe it to you, go back to that Mummy movie. You know, later on when they see the Magi guy come and then they go back to the museum and they find out the guy that they thought was a bumbling fool, he was actually a member of that Magi thing that was protecting and not to let Imhotep come back together. You know, it's a fantasy thing, and I said that was a bastardized version of our history. We all should have been very insulted because Imhotep was on the level, the best I can describe to you, that you call Jesus. And you know they would have never let a Muslim put a movie together of Jesus coming back as a mummy and spreading pestilence and being the monster of the movie. That's the way you should look at them when they did the Imhotep. Look at his history. He was revered as a god for thousands of years, way before Jesus was on the scene. And we let them, this is what they say, when you fall asleep, we let these Europeans sit up here and bastardize your history and sell it right back to you. And that's a big behind franchise. And they sat there and thumb their note, it's like they took monkey doo-doo and just smeared it all in. And you wonder where it's coming from. And they made millions. Same thing, I'm the only one that keeps saying, and I like horror movies. Me and my brother, man, we love horror movies stuff. Remember back in 95, 23 years ago, The Prophecy? Prophecy. Christian Walken. He played the angel Gabriel. That was the first movie I noticed. And I keep saying, you had these Christians, they're coming at you. I keep telling you, brothers and these, I said, they're coming at you. Who was the angel that dictated the Quran to Prophet Muhammad? And they don't see that as a slide. You get it? But here's the other thing, and I had told one of my students when I was teaching last decade, I was teaching dance, so hip-hop dancing, and I was telling my students, and I just get to the point of things. I said, don't get caught up in that, baby. I said, the Quran, the Bible, so the Quran, all that, and the Big Quran of Mecca, they all one. God's word is one. And I said, don't get caught in that. I said, Gabriel was one of my favorite angels. He's the second in command. And yet they insult us and sold us these movies. They made about 4 movies off that. Second one went to the theater, the other 2 went straight to VHS DVD. But they made Gabriel the villain. The angel Gabriel, a villain. As a matter of fact, and then the most recent one I seen, in a way, they made him a villain, was in the movie Legion that came out. Yep. He wound up fighting the angel Michael, who came and lost his wing to fight for this baby. And here's another thing. This is what should really get you upset. But a lot of you, I know you're aware because you're here and you're already waiting. So notice in that movie, the horrible looking things that were attacking people, guess what? They were supposed to have been angels. But I know it will surprise you and those who are out there in TV land. Oh, and by the way, House of Reawakening Minds. Brought to you by House of Reawakening Minds. And what, fanfare? So, I have to make sure we do that, put our stamp on it, because a lot of people be taking and bootlegging lessons and stuff. You know, but it's still good. I know we look at the bigger picture, at least everybody's getting this. So anyway, like I said, they're doing the old plan that Satan said it was going to do. It was going to take truth and make it seem falsehood and make truth a falsehood. Frequency. Like I said, that upset me. You know, I kind of like the movie. I had a bootleg version of it, but it upset me. I'm like, especially like I said, that was like the 5th movie I seen that they took Gabriel and made him an enemy. And I say this, and this is for you to shut down, because I know a lot of you are Muslims here. Shut down any Christians that come at you. Don't let them desecrate the Quran. It really pissed me off to see a dirty beast religion, and I'm calling you what we called you before you called yourself Christians. Yes, it was us Indians who called it the beast religion. Angels told us that 2,000 to 3,000 years before you found your faith. Anyway, they sat there and burnt the Quran and put some slab of pork bacon on it and put it on a mosque fence. Now I ask this, and this shows you how ignorant. That's why I call you Christians what you are. You soft Satanists, because that's what you are. I ask this question. Prove me wrong. I'm going to give y'all the answer. Who was the angel that came and told Miriam she was going to have a baby? I'm waiting. Who was the angel that came to Miriam and delivered the message to her that she was going to have a holy baby?
Gabriel.
Thank you. But here I'm going to give you the truth that nobody else will tell you. Gabriel was Jesus' father. His wife. I remember I said that to a Muslim, and he was like, "Oh no, he was just a messenger." I was like, "Look, that's the problem with y'all. Y'all always act like y'all got the answer. Well, God, y'all know what God thinks." I said, "Look, let me tell you something. No, he was the one that delivered the seed. So." Makes sense, don't it? Now, here is my point that I can really, Michael Jordan, whatever we call it, LeBron, three-pointer. Now, I said, stop playing God stupid. If God wanted to give her a message, could he have done just what he did with daggone Moses? And what? Oh, Moses, go thou. You feeling what I'm saying? You could talk to her through a flame of daggone candle. So I'm telling you another secret. It's simple, but when you have an angel that comes to you, guess what? They not only got to give you a message, they got to give you something. It's a blessing when they're in your presence, yes.
Islam. I think what many of us have failed to recognize is the allegorical nature of the Bible and the stories. Thinking it means one thing and it means something entirely different. For example, in the book of when she tells her mother-in-law, when Naomi tells Ruth to go and uncover the feet of Boaz and lay by its feet. Me having been a preacher before, most people, would preach that and say, she came there at night and she just slept at his feet, and when he woke up, there she was, and he decided to marry her. But if you understood Hebrew manners and customs and idioms, you would know that uncovering the feet is a different term for the sexual act.
Yeah. Isaac brothers.
In between. Yeah. Well, no, but of the uncovering of the feet.
Yeah, I see.
So
yeah,
people, looking at it on the surface, is going to, Ruth, you need to go and lay down at the feet of Boaz. If you do what it means, it means you need to give him something. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it means and meant. But when we're not taught those idioms, we think it means one thing and it meant something different. So when you see, I say that to say, when you see instances of a messenger bringing something, delivering a message, you think like, okay, he brought it like a piece of paper or verbal word, but he came to impregnate or to deliver the seed.
Thank you. And that's what angels do. That's what angels do. But it makes sense, don't it? And I'm the only one that I'm like, look, Gabriel delivered the seed. And again, I'm telling you, because some of you, you're taking this knowledge that I got, plus what you already have. Some of you might even be one of the ones that will come to us later and tell us, yo, I was blessed, I talked to an angel. And you not only got communicated, it gave you something. You understand what I'm saying? Telling you, directing you something, whatever, just even touching their presence or, need to touch is a blessing. Alright? So always never forget that. Because again, it made sense. God wanted to tell her, he could have told her through a candle flame or sat there and told her through a burning bush. But did he not do that with Moses? And we knew the great work Moses did, Musa. So when I said that to a person, I shut it down. I said, we got to stop that. He delivered the seed. I told her she was going to have a great baby, and his job was to deliver the seed. He may not have done it the conventional way, because when you're on their level as being a god, remember, it's kind of like the best I could describe as being like the video games. You know how you get a cheat code, like I explained before, I was a video gamer. And I always loved getting video games, but when I bought a new video game, I always made sure I didn't leave the video store until I went to the section, the magazine section, and look at the PlayStation magazines, and sometimes in the back they would give you cheat codes. And I enjoyed my game even better. Sitting up there, got all money, all magic power, can't die, you know what I mean? And so think like the gods. That's another thing. That's why I said the simulation. Remember where I was going earlier? You being a god. And see, your consciousness, when you get closer back to the Creator, then you recognize the illusion. This is where the matrix come in. When you recognize, all right, now your consciousness is different. You're on the level of Morpheus. You're on the level of Neo. And you recognize it's an illusion. And that's why Morpheus said. He said, so, when he explained to him about the bullets and stuff, he said, you don't have to duck. You won't have to. There'll be some laws you can bend, and others can be broken. This is what happens when those who are in the real practice, they start unlocking their divine powers. And then you get ignorant individuals say, oh yes, the works of the Satan. No, what do you think if you're getting close back to God? You're getting back to what you may say the angelic level.
Right.
Those angels were actually your gods. And so they are outside of the realm of the God that the Creator had created everything. And so they have the power to change things. Don't you believe in your D-God, the devil God, and how he can come in and he can change things? That's why he wants you to sell his soul, because he can change stuff. You're like, what, you want to be a millionaire? Just bow to me. I can give it to you just like that. And let's say suppose we go with that theory. Because I just told you, you created these demons, so they do exist, but they have no power. You're bowing to lower shadows and stuff you create. But they exist and they can bend the laws and know that things can be manipulated from a molecular structure and change and this and that, what have you. That's why you do have holy men and women who can do stuff that you would call supernatural and literally pass through the table or stuff like that, or hand through the table or do other stuff. Or I explained to you what Holmac Poe, he was one of our ascended masters. He was the one who came through our faith, followed his teachings, and did the Nova journeys. Remember, I gave you all the Nova information, understood the Hex Alpha, the Ab Ab, that represented our seal of our nation and our covenant with the Creator. The Creator said, this is your symbol that represents the God power that I have. You all have this in you. This power I call Axa power, A-X-A. Your Axa power is your God power. The God, Lord said that all of it is like a little seed within you. Your job is just try to get it to unfold, to come out. So that's what your religious organization, all the training and anything you get in certain organizations really, and all you're doing is trying to make it come out. And once you do it, you'll wind up being like Holmac Poe. Like I told you, our faith is about 7,000 years old. Homac Poe heard the teachings directly from Apsaris' mouth. This man is still alive today. And he ain't the only ascended master who learned these teachings and they're alive. That's why we say our faith is not like any other faith on this planet.
How do you spell his name?
Homac Poe? His name is spelled, make sure it's spelled right. Homak, Homac, and his last name is Poel, Poal. Alright? And this is a little piece here, his book called Secrets from the Other Side. He's the only person on the planet that actually wrote how it is to be a god. You know, and again, that's your birthright. Now I'm going back to the scripture part that she brought up, so tied and sin. You must be born into many lifetimes to prove yourself worthy to live in my abode. The Creator said, you have to go through that because you so foolishly left home. And because you have free will, some choose to be negative, some choose to be positive. Some fall and stumble by the wayside many times. Alright? I'm going to cut the articles of faith because I want to get into some of the things here. Now, I spoke last time. Remember I said one of the demos was, I cut the third one, that's why I couldn't remember it. I told people, I said, this was after class. I said, I can make little pyramids, and I said, what I did, well, what I used to do was this, and I was inspired. I used to have a small amethyst pyramid, and what I did is I placed it in the inside. And what I did, I took a string and ran through it and lined it up over my bed, over where I would have my pillow. And, you know, for years I had it hanging. Rest my here. And you do see and feel the effects. You know, of course, I haven't done it in years, but remember one time I mentioned the effects of the pyramids, shapes and powers that they will affect and even slow down time. And I said, heck, it was even the pyramid power that brought you here to this planet that propelled your ships. So I actually found a piece of the Holy Corvette, and I'm going to give it to you directly. You're going to read this. We're going to read this together here. And this book here is the section of the Holy Corvette called the Book of Saholim and Uzek. Saholim and Uzek are divine spirits of heaven who helped Apsaris in scribing the most mysterious book of the Corvette. The book is the longest and the most mysterious book of the entire Holy Corvette, and it was written the second time Apsaris went to the mountains and spoke with the Creator. Now, here is what, in fact, I'm going to read a little bit before it. It actually starts at Surah 117. And this is talking about the exalting of creation, creation and paying honor to the Creator in ourselves. Because in our faith, we don't pay honor to no other man or no woman. And how they affect everything. And as I had talked one time in one of the sermon classes, I said that we already understood the different shapes. Having cosmic energy being on them, anything that's in that shape, it got affected certain ways. So if you got a square building or a rectangle, whatever, these particular shapes may speed up time. Just like the pyramid, we know the pyramid shape, you inside of that, it slows time down, or it may even just stop at a rest time. Alright? So this is the reason why I'm reading this, because I brought it up a couple of sermons ago, but I want to go into it. Surah 17 says, there are those who did not say these things, but made laws unto themselves and left the Creator blameless, and who punished their own who broke these laws, for they did not hold God to blame, for they were blessed ones, exalting creation and paying honor to the Creator. And the Creator was pleased with them and did bless them, for they walked in the light and honored themselves. Surah 118. If man proclaims himself God, he is God, for all is God. I tell you, that's the whole thing. The Creator said, I am not God. The Creator has said, I am not God. But everything that is outside of me that I think into existence is God. For all is God. But if a man proclaims himself as a creator, he is a liar. Mighty as a mighty wind, and his awful wrath shall spew forth. Be ye forewarned. Surah 119. Blaspheme not the Creator, or thou shalt feel his greatest wrath. And here we're going to get into it, so we can qualify this. And everybody keep playing in this series. And now you understand where they get this knowledge, the basic understanding of the pyramid. Surah 120. The earth is constantly hit with cosmic beams. Oh, also, if you didn't know this, if you go on a spaceship and you're out in space and people come back, you are bombarded by cosmic radiation. So they do have, you know how you have detectors, they know some radiation, whatever. They don't know if somebody came off the spaceship, you give off certain radiation that you pick up when you're out in space. Alright, so we didn't know that. So anyway, the earth is constantly hit with cosmic beams. These beams support and change all creation upon the earth. The beams hit the earth in a straight line. But if a pyramid is placed on the earth, the beams are split up upon hitting it, thus creating anti-force or anti-change. In ancient times, the people of the earth knew of this, and they constructed many of their houses in the pyramid shape to enhance good health and long life. So, you brothers, even you sisters, some of you may not have seen, but you have white feathers. But even when you wrap your turbans, and sometimes some of you have got in contact with my mom, and you see she takes you the old way, her highness, and like she said, oh, she wraps so tight, it's the old ones that do. And when they get done, it's fabric, but it darn near looks like a fez without a turban. And so I'm pointing at that and saying, you understand what your fez is now. It's your version of your light. Alright. In ancient times, the people of Earth knew of this, and they constructed many of their houses to be pyramid shapes, and had good health, which enhanced good health and good long life. So now you would understand why, looking at our history, that they ignorantly called us Native Americans, but they say we live in teepee or whatever, but you notice the shapes of the teepee. You know, they say teepee, but earlier were your kuntis, or you say pyramid shape. Okay?
What they call Tudor houses.
And they came to know that the pyramid shapes cause time to stand still and reverse time, so that it went backward. I had mentioned that. All space within creation is surrounded by these cosmic beams. If these beams are changed in their direction, new things are created, or present creation takes on aging. According to the shapes they hit, can cause aging to speed up or slow down. When they hit a round object, aging is slowed. If they hit a square object, aging process is sped up. Did I not say that? So now you understand why the Europeans making the houses that they want your houses to be square. Say it again, beloved. You want me to talk about? So I said, okay. I don't want people to hear.
Most of us are in the inner city with flat roofed houses, and they live in squared off in flat roofs, and then they live in houses with gables and spirals and points and half circles and all of that stuff.
See? And notice something too, like they always say, even though some streets is ignorant, and they black don't crack, and you know what I mean? So even if they put things against you, you still know that you age gracefully. But this is what I'm saying. This is the other angle that we're saying, how they attack you. It ain't so much just the drugs. Remember I told you, it's just like the movie They Live. So I go into the mayor, or they renamed their sign and call it Hypnosis. I gotta do my Burning Man and call it Hypnosis. I'm trying to sell it back to you. You know what I mean? So they're coming at you in all kind of ways. Now we gotta change this. And it ain't like we ain't got the power to do it. We can. I remember the brother when he was great. I say Brother Farrakhan, when he got back on the scene, he was saying how us Asian, and this was back when my first child was born in '85. And he was saying that us Asiatics have the spending power of the 8th nation in the world. So we can do this. We were talking to him more, and we're going to talk about getting investments and doing certain things, and we not only can deal with that, and we can get back and build our own places and get back into that. Because here's one thing too, and one more, she was into the crystals and what have you, and this is a great idea. This is part of our Hittian faith too. Especially if I can be able to get to a point of having my own house and building my own house, I'm going to put amethyst crystals in the corners. Make sure if I can get my roof and have an amethyst at the apex. Because you best believe you set off certain gems in all corners of your house or all areas of your house. You don't think that'll make a barrier? Did I not go into the cipher? Showing you how to do your circle? Sometimes even if you don't do what I tell you, you always hear salt, but what I tell you was salt to you. Rock salt. Why? Because the way the Creator made that element is positive. And what salt does, all it does is just absorb negativity and just expels it back out into positive energy. So if you're looking at the rock salt, the only kind of look familiar to your crystals and what have you. So you can imagine if you got the finances to get crystals and you decide to make a crystal circle. Keep reading this. I'm kind of happy because I'm kind of sticking to what I'm doing. I'm a little bit stick to it. I've been wanting to give y'all this.
What kind of salt?
Rock salt. Remember, I always told y'all rock salt. And the way you go to a depot, something like that. You know, it may be hard for you brothers and sisters out there in Cali and them warm places, because they don't, because us East Coast and all, we get snow. So if you can catch it at a certain season, they'll sell the rock salt. Now they're trying to give you some other stuff that ain't the salt, and they make the other synthetic stuff they want to say, little blue pebble things and stuff like that, whatever. But you use the the rock salt. Every time you use it in your rituals, it absorbs energy and it gets more and more powerful. Remember I told y'all that I would change our energy. Remember the first session y'all had? I told you, get your rock salt. Make your own little jar that'll be used when you do your ceremonies. Maybe one day, I can't bring everything, but maybe one day I'll bring mine and show you. But also take and get yourself a beautiful vase. And I told you what, fill it up and sit in the center of your living room or the center of your house so that it could absorb the energy, the negativity that comes in your house, and it does nothing but just expel positive energy. doing. So we already know, we said, when you have a square object, the aging process is sped up. So kind of make notes. There'll be a time y'all will have these other pieces. So I appreciate y'all just being patient and having me read this to you and you're taking notes. And some of you are getting some things from this. So now you're aware of how important shapes are. If they hit any irregular shapes, the aging process can be sped up or slowed down according to the shape. Okay. The pyramid shape is constructed in such a way that when the cosmic beams hit it, they are completely distorted, thus reversing the aging process of anything thus inside the pyramid. Now, even though it was corny, and I said it again, we'll go back to mine. So, like I said, I haven't done it because of my situation. When I had 5 years, I had my little pink pyramid, and I had an amethyst, a little amethyst pyramid, and I just shoved it up under it, and then I took some foil and wrapped it around it. Because, you know, it's paper. But I figure at least if I can get, since the tin foil is malleable, but it's still metal, it can still affect. Another thing too, if any of you think you're having people bombarding you with certain waves and stuff, because you already know about the acoustic stuff, you heard about the thing in Cuba and all that. I was telling one more, I had to crack it up. I said, if you think somebody is beating some stuff, just look at some tin foil, start taking up to your window. The one thing you'll at least know, it'll at least do the effect, like you already know with a microwave what metal not to put in it, and what will happen, start sparking. So if you put that in your window, you see a spark, then you know you just proved your point. Somebody trying to send something at you, but you at least kind of defend it all. So, but all I'm saying, again, I put the tin foil on it to try to enhance. On top of it, I had the amethyst. So even when I was, it was like my 30s, just the last decade or so, early part, I was really looking very young. So I had all my hair was braided and everything. So I just didn't have, I don't do it no more, but I don't have to do it again. I just made these makeshift ones, and like I said, it's for those who want to grab them. I cheated. I usually know how to make them listen, but I just wrap them around the thing, just tape them, and I'll grab it, just before you take them home. And I say what you do is bore a hole and tie a little knot with a string. You don't have time to meditate, but you darn sure know you have time when you go to sleep, and you just line it up, and don't let your mate look at you as crazy. One thing I can say, my ex, God bless her, she didn't think I was crazy, but she was into what I was into anyway, so, it would be right where I was sleep. And, so that was there for others. I'm going to finish this. So the pyramid shape is constructed in such a way that when the cosmic beams hit it, they are completely distorted and reverse aging process of anything that is inside of the pyramid. If a dull sphere point is placed inside the pyramid, it reverts to the time when it was the sharpest point. If a living creature is placed inside the pyramid, that the creature's aging process is stopped or slowed down or completely reversed. They revert back towards the time of their birth. The size of the pyramid has nothing to do with its power, but according to the object that it is to control, whether it is small or large. If another pyramid is placed in the bottom of the first pyramid, then the whole of the pyramid changes and the reverse process then levels off, thus slowing or coming to a stop. According to thus placed inside this shape, either stays the same or aging at a slower rate. I'm going to stop there real quick. So some of you, again, like I said, I'm not taking it for granted. I know some of you come from different schools of thought. So some of you who study, because a lot of this stuff always take you to the Egypt pyramids and all that, but you already know, those who at the Holy Corvette already understand that the pyramids didn't originate in Egypt. You Moors, you already know that. You already know the oldest pyramids is on this planet is where? Right. On this continent. Yeah. In the Yucatan, Mexico. And as I told y'all in short, that those who would those who would read will see that we came here to this planet with this knowledge. I already told you we done been on this planet for about 7 million years. And our ancestors was here for a while before they decided to use it. Alright? So they didn't use it until they was here for a long while. But like I told you in short, you find out in the Holy Corvette that it was the pyramid power that was the power source that propelled our ship, our ancestor ship, that got us from our home planet, Aiden, to come to here. Alright? Another tidbit too, that when our ancestors got here, they actually was up on the ship for at least 96 years. So when I told y'all the story, those who have the first part of the Holy Corvette, you understand that, you know, the war in heaven, which I explained to you and read to you in the Holy Corvette. Please go back to the older sermon sessions where I told you where you get Luxor, who was the first lieutenant. He was under Yohad, who was Lemurian, who was also the captain of the ship. And they got tired. They didn't want to keep sitting up in the ship. They had traveled for many years. Now they've been sitting almost for a century. So that should also tell you something too. Remember, I keep telling you the story of Khalil is you.
That's right.
So that should tell you something. I just gave you that tidbit. That our ancestors sat up in the ship for 96 years. Remember, I told you when we got here, we used the earth as a prison. And so those people who were here, they rose in technology and blew up, and it was only a few hand pockets here. And so it was a cloud of dust and stuff that, you know, the earth had to settle. So by the time we came here, our ancestors was in the mothership and said, all right, well, we know this will be a good refuge. We just got to wait till it goes through its cleansing process. All right?
It's a book called Ancient Giants of America, something like that. How does that connect to our ancestry? Or does it in any way?
I don't know what's about the book.
Okay, gotcha.
Did you know more about it that you can tell me?
No, I haven't read it. I just seen the book and wanted to know if it had something to relate to it, since we're the ancient ones, and seeing though people talk about giants that were here.
Well, one thing you'll know too, because it does say in the higher pieces of the Holy Corvette, they were giants here. And what had happened was our ancestors, it was kind of cool. So what our ancestors did, I'm going to sum it up real quick. Got them drunk, and when they were all passed out, they wrapped them up kind of almost like the Gullivers, what's the name, and set them on boats and sent them to the Arctic. So send them to the Arctic, but we'll cover that in the Holy Corvette. But yeah, there were some here. And of course, we already see now, this is the thing that's scaring the mainstream, or like my man Torian Rain said, the mainstream media and all, that YouTube and all these other things, they're showing you stuff that they wouldn't air on TV. And you see a lot of videos of stuff that we used to back in the day when I was a little boy, like that little handsome little cherub there. I was in search of shows, and that was the only time you see stuff like that. Like you see a video that they show you, we had batteries. They actually showed canopic jars in Kennett that they realized they were batteries. But I already told y'all the story of why Pharaoh chased the other people, whatever. They took the source that they called Park of the Covenant. They threw Egypt in darkness because they had electricity. That's why he was chasing. He took his power source. But anyway, you see videos where they do find excavations of big bones. Now the key thing is, even though y'all call him 45 and he lies, but there is some truth in his lies, and he's the one that coined the term fake news. Why? Because he's telling the truth and it's true. That's the only downside with YouTube. Because when you see some of the daggone thumbnails, you look at the videos and you know they're fake. You know the ones I really hate? The ones you turn on and they look all good, and then you're like, back in the day, there was the, I can't stand them videos. I'm like, it just takes the spirit. But remember, your children hardly have any soul, so that's why it's comfortable for them to do that. Remember, they want to cross light or artificial and all that other stuff. Because I mean, notice insulting the Emerald Tablet. Spiritual book. And then yet they want to have it. Took the whole spirit of it. If they could get away with it. They would sit up here, they would put the daggone whole circle 7 Quran. Holy Quran. America. And they would swear that would be the biggest thing ever. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you just took the spirit out of it. But of course, we always knew they don't understand that. Anybody that was in dance, we always knew, even my ex, God rest her soul, Imani, she was on them jazz dances. She said, yeah, we danced in European music class, and we used to always have to take extra time because they couldn't get the beat. They're in between, but they just couldn't understand it. That's why they didn't do that. So, but that book, that would be something, you know, you have to get your hands on it, drop on us. But if you already know, for you to even ask that question, you already know. It's a piece of, you know, the key thing is, remember I always tell you, Europeans get your stuff and they take your work. Soon as I see Jesus and Christ, any of you who may see my books, and you see anything that me or scripture, and they got Jesus and they got the word Christ in it, one of my friends asked me, why do you X it out? Because I'm like, that's cursing him. That is not his name. He said, I am Jesus of Nazareth. I am the Nazarene. He ain't never said he was Christ. Yeah, and so Christ is their word. And they play with it. And even though they go after the daggone Eastern faith, when you dig, they'll even tell you it comes from Christian.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. For those who say it's the Christ degree, and, you know.
See, well, again, when they use that word, like I said, it's a curse word. It's no different than you already know you're not black. Because that's the word curse word. I still get even pissed off when Moors even keep calling our people black and calling Europeans white. I'm not blessing them. I'm calling them Europeans like Prophet told me. He said, that's they call themselves, they got off the boat, and keep calling them that. You're the white. I just told you who was the divine spirit and who was the divine nation, and you were a nation of. So I come up with a better word. You know what I mean? You are a nation of holy people. The other way I can kind of read James Redfield's Celestine prophecy of the third one, the secret to Shambhala, and it was a secret. Anyway, he finally found in the story of the book, because it's heavily metaphysically laced. They found one of your old Atlantan or Lemurian societies where they were they were still developed. Whereas they had a certain stone in the center of the city. And all their buildings and even their clothes, guess what, was formulated by thought. Just told you were gods. And I love the way Dr. Nalael explained the doors. That was a beautiful way you explained it. But that's the mindset I want you to get at. You know what I mean? You look at Thor. He's one of my favorite Muslims because he's a god. But I like it because he's a variant of Tehuti, or you call Thoth, or Thoth. His downfall is when he doesn't have faith in himself, he don't think he's worthy to pick up Mjolnir, and he loses faith. Go back to the first Avenger. He got out of that apparatus that Loki dropped him, and he got out, and he was on the ground, and he was doubting himself, and then finally he started getting his energy up, and he got Mjolnir to come back to him, and he changed, he got his energy. That was your bane when you were gods. If you doubted yourself, you lost your power. You know what another franchise that kind of kicked it, and they was kicking some truth? Mortal Kombat. They talk about Shinnok. Well, Shinnok was Shao Kahn. When they got deeper, then they went into Shinnok, and they started going into what Shao Kahn was, and then my favorite out of that was Raiden, because he was similar to Thor. So that was, and anyway, they were gods, and then it got so good, they took the franchise in the realm, they started going more into the gods, and guess what they did? They had to touch your Holy Corvette, because it's important in the Holy Corvette, where the Creator said, I got some planets and creations where I have you that had some different colored skins, and some of you even had 4 arms. Did they not have Goro in Mortal Kombat? And the Creator said, I got you so spaced from far each other so you won't destroy nothing. So now it goes back to the thing that Cherub Tamar had asked in the circle, in the Holy Corvette, the verse you brought up, when you said when the Creator said you have to work your way back to his abode, because you fell, and you had fell to where is you have to work yourself back to the Creator. And even us being on the planet, look at how we're dealing with nations with each other. We're born with each other. Look at Trump. They're getting ready to go into a war with your Mexican wars. We're your neighbors. That's the work. Anybody will tell you that. See, only niggas do dumb stuff. They get all pissed off with their neighbors. But when you own a house, it ain't easy. We just wait the next year. The contract goes, we gonna move. You got a house. You got, it's hard to get off your hand. You just can't up the move. You got to sell it. You got to get it ready to sell it. You got to do that. Then, bring the price down. And then you got to do something to improve it. And so everybody that has a house know the worst thing you can do is have your neighbor your enemy.
Right.
So I'm bringing him up to say this. This is why you have to come back many a lifetimes to work your way back to be in harmony. The other thing the Creator has said this, and I said this to you, and I'm going to get back to this, I'm going to round this up, and then I'll finish with this after we go off broadcast. That the Creator has said this. The reason why, this is regarding the nations, the reason why you don't, mix with other nations is this. But you already know because you're Moors. But here's the 2 problems. And this isn't the Holy Corvette. This is the 2 problems. One, you have somebody with different race and you make them a child. The child will be conflicted. And may not even have to lead you to either one of the nations, of the mother or the father. And the second one is sometimes you create a new disease. And what I'm telling you, I'm just summing it up. It was in the Holy Corvette, the Creator says. Alright. But let's go with the first one I just told you. We already see that. We already hear that. If I'm biracial, this, that, what have you. And then you ask them, you get some talking about, I'm the rainbow child. That's not the case. Because I'm the rainbow child. And then the main ones who will be a traitor to one of the nation or another. Here's the simplest that I had the elders explain to me so you can understand what happens. You already know the history of your cousins, the Japanese and Chinese. Made sure they kept themselves apart, but guess what? They came together, they made a new world, children. And guess what? Neither one of them wanted it. And guess what? They wound up having to be a nation. And even then, they went and divided themselves. That's why you got the Korean. So, I'm going to finish this up real quick because I'm getting the 5 minutes. We're going to close out, and then, like I said, I'm going to go off because I know, and I apologize, and I try to fit in. I'm going to finish. There's just so much I want to give you. I I still hadn't even got into my 5 points, but I'm going to do that later. Well, off camera. But for you, I will have to repeat this. To finish up regarding the pyramid, I trust I made you understand how the energy, the cosmic energy changes when you're dealing with the pyramid shapes. I'm going to finish this out, and then I'm going to close up with our chapter. Regarding the pyramid, and then being inside the pyramid, if another pyramid is placed into the bottom of the first pyramid, then the whole of the pyramid changes and reverses the process and levels off, and thus slowing down, or slowing, or coming to a stop. Anything thus placed inside the shape, the basics, like I told you, was the pyramid power that propelled our ancestors' ship, from what I understood. Free, unlimited energy exists. Repeat that again. If this new energy is applied directly to a wheel and can be made to power the motion of this bottom pyramid inside the square object, and the pyramid power is neutralized, thereby losing all its power. I'll make sure I mark this, and we'll continue this in my next sermon class. I'm going to continue, because as y'all see, it's just so much to give you. But again, those who are into sci-fi powers or whatever, that also now should make you reminisce of my man Nikola Tesla. Please see the movie The Prestige. You'd like to see the movie Prestige? David Bowie played Nikola Tesla in the movie. And there was a scene in the movie where he was showing him that he so-called discovered free energy. Took the guy out to a plain, a dark grassy or half grassy area, and it was dark, so he didn't realize it until all of a sudden he said, wait a minute, just give it a second. And all of a sudden he realized he was standing in a sea of globes that was light bulbs that was stuck into the ground. And all I tell y'all is, remember, Europeans are rediscovering your history, your science. You gotta wake up. So what Tesla was doing, it was nothing new.
Right.
He was just rediscovering your ancient Lemurian and Moorish science.
That's right.
Brother, I mean, you want to say something? Or you want to say something before I close out?
No, you're gonna close out.
All right. Let me read the chapter, and I thank you all for listening. It's the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. I send my love to all of you Moors, Cherub Moors out there and here, and those I know personally, Sage Sabir Bey, my man, Sage Hakeem Bey. Keep it going, brothers. You are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee, that thy brothers and that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate into the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, to prepare and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of the father, thy father, contribute to the support of the whole race in his care, and continue to you all in your love to each other.
All right, we want to put our hands together for Dr. Hannibal Bey. And we want to welcome you, thank you for coming out and tuning into the House of Reawakening Minds as we strive to be a holistic center for spiritual grounding, free thought, self-discovery, and more science, an awakening experience for all ages. Please note, the views, opinions, and services expressed or offered by guest lecturers are those of the lecturer and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the House of Reawakening Mind.